Now, one day later, it's Game 2 of the American League Division Series. The Yankees try and take a commanding 2-0 lead against a team that's been baseball's biggest surprise and one of its best teams, the Tigers. Superlatives, comparisons, accolades, awe, all surround this Yankee lineup. The captain, Derek Jeter, and the Bombers exploded in Game 1. But Detroit demonstrated it belonged, and then some. The Tigers took some solid cuts against Wong and New York's middle relief. Should a few balls bounce their way in the house that Ruth built, they could head home tied. Mike Messina takes the hill for the Bronx Bombers to maintain the momentum. Some say the world title is the Yankees' destiny, but first they have to get past Detroit. Game 2 of the Division Series now. Major League Baseball's Division Series presented by Budweiser. It is a beautiful day, bright, sunshiny day, no rain anywhere near Yankee Stadium. After being rained out here last night, the Tigers and Yankees ready to play Game 2 of their American League Division Series. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, along with Bonnie Bernstein, and welcome to our telecast. We were hopeful of bringing it to you last night. We had beautiful weather in New York all day yesterday, warm, baseball, summery weather, and then the rains came. Or did they really come? They came later last night. They came a little bit earlier. Anyway, a lot of talk about we could have actually played that ball game last night. Anyway, it was postponed. Now we are ready to play ball. It is cool, though. Autumn has arrived overnight here in New York. It's cool, crisp, windy. And Joe, this Yankee ball club won a lineup, 8 runs, 14 hits on Tuesday night. And they, with Abreu and Jeter leading the way, are a very impressive ball club offensively.
Well, I think this is the best hitting lineup that I've ever seen, especially in the American League where you use 9 hitters. But I think last night it was Derek Jeter and Bobby Abreu. Today, it can be any of the 6 other all-stars that are in that starting lineup. They have so many weapons that it's very difficult for anybody to shut them down. And I look for this team to go out and put some runs on the board early.
All right, now they're not just an offensive juggernaut, however. They do have some veteran pitching talent, and we'll see one of them today. Mike Messina, 15-game winner. He's been in many, many postseason games. But Justin Verlander, a young 23-year-old right-hander, a rookie, will have to try and shut down the Yankees for the Tigers in this crucial ball game. Verlander is not just any rookie, though. 17 wins. He may be the rookie of the year. He's got an electric fastball and a great curveball when he's right.
Well, I think they have the right guy going to try to stop this momentum. But when you look at the comparisons, you look at Mike Messina, 21 postseason starts. This is Jason Verlander's first postseason start. And guess what? It's in historic Yankee Stadium against what could be the best hitting lineup ever. So he's got his work cut out for him. But he has to go out there not thinking about shutting the Yankees down, because I don't think he can do that, but just try to control them and keep his team in the ball game, and they'll give himself a shot at winning.
All right, so we're anxious to see Justin Verlander, the hard thrower, against Messina. And when we come back, we'll have Bonnie Bernstein on the rain postponement last night and the ramifications on the Tigers. Also, Mike Messina, he's ready to go. Messina coming in. He'll be facing the Detroit Tigers when we come back. The Yankees have taken the field. It's Game 2 of the American League Division Series. The Yankees ahead 1-0. And we are in the Bronx, New York at Yankee Stadium. And let's take a look at the Tigers batting order presented by Prestone. Curtis Granderson, he had a home run in Game 1, very powerful, center field. Placido Polanco, the second baseman, still injured with that left shoulder. Sean Casey, first base, acquired during the year from Pittsburgh. And then Maglio Ordonez in right field. He's the big slugger, the veteran slugger. Carlos Guillen had an excellent year offensively, hitting .320 at short. Ivan Rodriguez, the veteran catcher, is hitting 6th. Then Craig Monroe, 28 home runs, hitting 7th and left. Marcus Timms, originally a Yankee, and he had 26 home runs this year. And Brandon Edge at third base, he had 27 home runs. A lot of power in the last third of that batting order, with Granderson getting ready to lead off here in a moment. Now, the Tigers were very unhappy with the way they were told about last night's postponement. After the tarp came off at 9:30, Tigers pitcher Justin Verlander began to prepare for the game out in left field. Mike Messina, he was never seen. which led the Tigers to believe the Yankees were getting some info that the Tigers were not. For more on that, let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
John, let me make this clear. There was no conspiracy theory. This wasn't a case of the Yankees' evil empire trying to beat up on the new kids on the playoff block. Was there some confusion? Absolutely. And quite frankly, I think that stems from the fact that Tigers GM Dave Dombrowski was camped out in the clubhouse. His main source of information was Major League Baseball. Conversely, Yankees GM Brian Cashman had a constant eye on the weather radar in the groundskeeper's office because it's right down the hall from the clubhouse. At 9:30, when the tarp came off, both of these teams were told MLB was hoping to get first pitch off at 10 o'clock. So the Tigers sent Verlander out to warm up. But Brian Cashman told me we didn't really think 10 o'clock was realistic because it takes Messina a while to warm up. Plus, the weather system continued to change rapidly. They kept on talking to the weather guys. A few minutes later, Cashman saw Verlander out in the outfield warming up, sent a groundskeeper out to told him, hey, hold off. But it was just before 10 o'clock that MLB officially consulted the GMs as to whether to cancel this game. They agreed, and then baseball made that decision.
All right, Bonnie, many thanks. And you hear the moose calls going on around Yankee Stadium as Mike Messina is ready to go with Curtis Granderson to stand in. Messina 15-7 during the season, 3.51 ERA. Granderson, lots of power, and the big curveball in there for a strike, and we are underway.
Messina throws about 68% first pitch strikes, which I think may work against him against this Tiger free swinging team. We may see Messina go just a little bit out of the strike zone every once in a while because this is a free swinging team, and they will strike out a lot.
And that is down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Granderson is a speedy leadoff man, but he strikes out a huge percentage of the time. So he's not the classic leadoff man. He didn't steal a lot of bases. He did get 66 walks, but his batting average only 260. He did have 19 homers, 9 triples. Curtis Granderson is only 25 years old. And Messina floats through a soft one for a called strike. 2-2. And that's one thing about Messina. You're liable to get anything at any time.
Well, he changes speeds a lot more now than he did earlier in his career.
He struck him out with the breaking ball.
Well, Messina starts the defense, but let's take a look around at the Yankee defense. Gary Sheffield is playing at first base, and he's done a great job over there considering he's only had a short period of time over there. Don Mattingly said if given a chance, he could be a great first baseman. He said if he'd have had him working in spring training by now, he would be an excellent first baseman. Says he has excellent hands, and he thinks that eventually if he stays there, he's going to be a very, very good first baseman.
Here's Placido Polanco. Shows bunt, takes a strike, and he quickly shoots a glance back at Las Diaz. 8th year in the big leagues for Las Diaz, and now he's getting some grief from Jim Leland in the Tiger dugout, and Diaz immediately is going to give it right back.
Yeah, that's a little bit early for all of this to start.
Jim Leland did not like that call from what he saw of it from the dugout. He thought it was too high. Fastball is fouled off to the right and into the upper deck. Las Diaz from Miami. Alfonso Marquez at first, Paul Emmel at second, Larry Poncino at third, Larry Vanover left field, Tim McClellan right field. We get the 6-man umpiring crew as usual for the postseason. So Messina has come out throwing strikes. He has struck out Granderson. He's 0-2 to Polanco. Inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Sean Casey on deck. It is a windy day at Yankee Stadium. And although for the moment the wind is not as brisk as it was just a few moments ago, blowing in from left across toward right. The curveball in the dirt struck him out. And Posada throws him out.
And that's one of the things that Messina has going for him, that a lot of these guys, but not usually Polanco, will chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. And that's why you saw Jim Leland getting upset. He doesn't want him to get in the hole right away. Let's take a look at the pitches to Granderson. Slow curveball, another breaking ball in the dirt, change up away, another change up for a strike. And there's the big curveball, starts in the strike zone and breaks out. And Polanco chased one that started in the strike zone and broke out. So what Jim Leland's upset about, he doesn't want them getting behind early because he knows that they're a free swinging group of guys and they will strike out.
Hence his displeasure with that call he thought was up out of the strike zone, immediately putting Polanco in a hole. Here's Sean Casey, 2 down, fastball away.
So he's keeping to his average almost. That's 2 out of 3. You know, a little better as far as first pitch strikes with Messina.
Now my numbers say through 70%.
I know, and mine say 68. I don't know.
I'm going with the Elias Sports Bureau, Joe.
Okay, I'm not gonna.
There's a called strike to the outside. They are the official statisticians for baseball.
All right.
You are using unofficial numbers, obviously.
Well, I'm using what was given to me. That's why I don't like statistics anyway. You know what I mean?
I'm going to give
Depends on who's preparing them, whether they come out one way or the other.
I'm going to give you the number for the Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians for baseball. I want you to be official from now on. And there is Derek Jeter. The low throw, and it is knocked out of the glove of Sheffield. And Sheffield could have gotten badly hurt on that play. Sheffield, who already has a wrist problem that put him on the shelf for most of the year. And he had the collision there with Sean Casey.
Well, you very rarely will you see Jeter make a poor throw like this. But, I mean, he had plenty of time because Casey doesn't run well. You can see Casey won't even be in the pitcher there. Sheffield tries to grab it, but it's coming out of his glove. And he gets run over by Sean Casey. I mean, you can see the throw is up the line toward home plate. But again, you just rarely see Jeter make a mistake like that, especially when he's not rushed with a guy like Casey who doesn't run that well. And you see Casey's hustling down the line, but he just doesn't run very fast. But Gary seems to be okay.
So the error is to Jeter, and that's part of the inexperience for Gary Sheffield. He's only played first base for, what, 10 games? But sometimes the first baseman has got to just get out of the way over there.
Yeah, well, he came up the line to get it, which he did the right thing. Then he was just trying to make the tag. But again, it's just an unusual play from Jeter with the slow runner.
Miguel Ordonez fouling one off to the right, and he falls behind Messina. The Yankees make a lot of errors when Messina pitches as a rule. They made 20 errors behind Messina this year. That matched the most behind any American League pitcher. It was Alex Rodriguez actually made most of them. He made 7 just behind Messina. Messina in his games consequently had a lot of unearned runs allowed. There is a ball, 1 ball, 1 strike to Miguel Ordonez. Ordonez came on big time this year, except he really slowed down after the All-Star break for several weeks, and finally in September seemed to find his stroke again. Finished up 24 homers, 104 runs batted in. He was the only 100 RBI man for the Tigers. Fastball to strike.
That's the one thing that Messina does so well, is he keeps you off balance. And you can't think with him. You can't guess, well, this 1-1 is going to be a curveball, because he turns the fastball loose on you. Now you look, say, well, you know, it's a curveball situation. He may throw you another fastball, or he may go to a changeup. So he has too many weapons for you to try to guess with him.
1-2, and fought off by Ordonez into the upper deck.
Another fastball. See, I mean, it wasn't a fastball count, but he threw him another one. So it's just hard to sit out there and think with him. The best way to try to have any success with him, I believe, is just to see the ball and go get it.
Ordonez is one of maybe 3 Tigers who has a lot of experience against Messina. 10 hits, 35 at bats, lifetime, 1 home run. the breaking ball, and he got a piece of that. That was the strikeout pitch against the first two hitters, Granderson and Polanco.
But he made a mistake, so to speak, with this one. He gets it inside more. The other ones were outside. See, this one's inside. That's why Ordonez was able to make contact. If he got that same pitch away, he throws the same pitch away, he probably would have had some success with Ordonez as well.
Sean Casey at first. He's not really a base stealing threat, but Sheffield's on the bag with him nonetheless. 1-2. Fastball just off the outside.
And that's a good eye there by Ordonez, simply because he had come with the slow breaking ball, and then he tries to hit the outside corner. You see the target out there, and clearly it is off the plate. And you can see he started, but he realized it was off the plate outside. Good. Well, that's why he's such a good hitter. I mean, he knows the strike zone.
And he struck him out with the high hard one. The veteran Messina strikes out the side. Now the Yankees coming up against the rookie Verlander. Back at Yankee Stadium, Tigers down in the first. Mike Messina striking out the side. And now let's take a look at the Yankees batting order presented by Prestone. Johnny Damon, the veteran leadoff man, will start off in center field. Finished the year in a slump. Derek Jeter, 343, almost won the batting title. Shortstop. Bobby Abreu, 4 RBIs in his first Yankee postseason game. Right field, Gary Sheffield. He finished up in a hot streak. First base, Jason Giambi, who homered in game 1, the DH. Alex Rodriguez at third base, 121 batted in this year. Hideki Matsui also back, swinging the bat well. Jorge Posada, the catcher, 93 batted in. Robinson Cano, another guy who almost won the batting title. He's hitting ninth with a 342 batting average. So here we go. Justin Verlander, 23 years old, to Damon, and a fastball, a strike. Verlander was 17-9 in the regular season, 30 starts. And a changeup blooped into left field. And that one is in there. Guillen stopped going out, and the left fielder Monroe never got there.
Well, Johnny Damon's is one strike, and that's a great pitch, down and sinking. He just kind of flips it down the left field line. I think the wind kind of bothered Guillen, but I don't know if he could get there anyway. I mean, that ball's in no man's land. He went a long way to get it. It would have had to be a great extension, maybe just to dive and catch it, but it's just a great flip down the left field line by Damon, and he does that well. He flipped one the other day that helped him get 2 runs, insurance runs, in the late innings. I mean, he will slap the ball the other way with 2 strikes a lot of times, although he only had 1 strike then, but he will do that. I'll be interested to see how they pitch Derek Jeter. I mean, he had 5 hits the other day, and most of those pitches were middle of the plate in, and we'll see if they change their pattern or if Jeter makes any adjustments if they go away.
So here is Jeter. He is yet to be retired in this series. He drops a bunt. Pudge Rodriguez out to get it.
Well, the one thing they did change their strategy. He was set up away, meaning Rodriguez. They weren't trying to pound him in as they've tried to do most of the season, and they tried to do in the first game here on Tuesday. Well, Jeter plays the game to win. He's trying to win. He's trying to drop down a bunt, beat it out for a base hit, or move Damon into scoring position. And you can see he wasn't very happy. Now watch the head of the bat where it ends up. He's got it above the ball correctly, but then he drops it. And anytime you drop the bat, that's when you get in trouble. So he was just trying to beat it out. I think it was a good play. It just didn't work.
So with 1 out, Damon still at first. Here is Bobby Abreu. 107 RBIs during the year for Abreu. 98 miles an hour with that 2-seam fastball down and away for ball 1.
Bobby Abreu is the guy that made this a great lineup, in my opinion. He was put in the third slot. He's a perfect third place hitter on this ball club or just about any ball club. And I think he's the one that solidified this lineup, because before Alex Rodriguez was hitting third sometimes, and he wasn't, as consistent as far as getting on base, driving in the runs in clutch situations as was Abreu. And I say that, and Alex Rodriguez still drove in 121 runs. He led the team.
Gary Sheffield on deck. Fastball just off the outside. 3-0. 96 miles an hour. So far, he's shown the fastball and a changeup. He has not thrown that big curveball yet. 1 out, 1 on. So Jeter was bunting not on Joe Torre's orders. He bunted on his own.
No, he was just trying to beat it out for a base hit. It wasn't a sacrifice.
And it's a 4-pitch walk.
And Abreu does this quite often.
Abreu didn't realize that he had gotten the walk. You'd think a guy who walks that often would know one when he sees one. He walked 124 times this year.
Well, you see Pudge Rodriguez pull the ball back. That tells you that it was definitely off the plate outside.
Jim Leyland's reaction.
Yeah, I think he was upset at an earlier pitch, not necessarily that last one, because the last one was clearly off the plate.
Well, the one just before,
right,
looked like it could have been called a strike.
Well, I think that's the one that he was, and maybe Abreu thought it was a strike.
Well, maybe. Well,
yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
All right, here's Sheffield. 2 men on, the cleanup hitter for the Yankees. The extremely dangerous Sheffield. Strike. You got the call on the inside there.
And Sheffield, as we all know, is one of the best fastball hitters in baseball. I don't think you can throw it too hard for Gary. Not only does he swing hard, he swings quickly. See, a lot of guys swing hard to get to the fastball. You have to swing quicker. And he's bringing it.
99 miles an hour on that one.
Another good fastball. He tried to bury it inside, and he missed with it.
Verlander this year had a lot of pitches that were clocked at 100 miles an hour or more. Sheffield pops that one foul and back out of play.
Well, the key right there, Gary Sheffield, he fouled it straight back. That meant he was on it. If he fouls it off to the right or left, you know, his time. Watch this. He gets the barrel right there, right out where he wants it. So he was right on it. He just missed it. Yeah, he wasn't overmatched with that high fastball.
Verlander actually was clocked at 100 or more 19 times this year. 2 men on. And did he swing?
Yes.
Yes, he did. Now, that's
pitch.
that curveball we're talking about, Joe.
Well, and that's the time to show it. He hadn't thrown one the entire time. He waits till he gets 2 strikes on one of the toughest hitters in the game, and then he throws it. See, Sheffield hadn't seen this.
Ooh.
He'd only seen the fastball.
Now, that is nasty.
Yeah.
And as you said before the game, that pitch could be the key for him today in getting knocked around by the Yankees or holding his own.
Exactly, but he's going to have to get ahead, though. The Yankees will not swing at that pitch on the first pitch. You have to be ahead for them to swing at it. If he throws that first pitch to get a strike, he'll get the strike, but he will not get the strikeout unless he has 2 strikes. They won't chase it.
Fastball to Giambi, up and away. Ball 1. Giambi, another very particular hitter. Guy who gets a lot of walks. Giambi 110 walks this year. The second baseman, Polanco, is out in shallow right field for him. And again, away, so he's fallen behind Giambi. Now, his manager, Jim Leyland, said when he faced the Yankees in Detroit, the only time he faced them this year was June 1st. And he did not pitch well. He gave up 6 runs in only 5 innings. And Leyland said he really was just trying to be too fine. He gave him too much credit that day. Changeup in at the knees for a strike. Now Giambi's unhappy. 2-1. So we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, this is his first postseason game. He's in Yankee Stadium against a great lineup.
Well, according to Kazon, it was a strike. Across the plate right at the knees.
It's not where the catcher catches it. It's where it is when it crosses the plate. That one very high. 99 miles an hour. 3-1. We are at Yankee Stadium. Last of the first inning. Game 2 of this division series. The Yankees leading 1-0. No score in this game. Mike Messina having struck out the side in the Tigers' first inning with 2 men on and 2 men out. Young Justin Verlander just threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball for strike 2. It's 3-2 to the dangerous Giambi.
Well, he definitely didn't try to guide that one, which is what they felt like he was doing sometime down the stretch. He was guiding the ball.
Runners go. Just off the outside, he walked him. And now they are loaded for Alex Rodriguez.
Let's take a look at the last pitch. Verlander actually wanted this. I don't know where it was, but he wanted it to be a strike.
Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach, out.
And you can see clearly it's off the plate. Even with the late movement, and move further away from the plate.
So throwing it 100, 101 is not going to help you against most of these Yankee hitters if you're not throwing it in the strike zone or near the strike zone.
Correct. And that's why we talked about how good a hitting lineup it was. It's not just what they do when they put the ball in play, but they force you into situations where they can hurt you.
Damon, Abreu, Giambi, the 3 base runners. And here's Alex Rodriguez. And he blew that fastball by him at 101 miles an hour. Wow. Now, A-Rod, maybe a little over-anxious there, Joe. That pitch was up. Not a pitch he had to swing out on the first pitch with a guy who's been wild in this inning. Came in the hands again at 101. 0-2. So he's going after A-Rod with the heat. Now he's got him set up. Do you think he'll go to that curveball?
Well, the one thing to remember, the toughest pitch to hit is that high fastball with that kind of velocity on it, middle of the plate in. And that's where those first 2 pitches were. He definitely has him set up for the breaking ball if he wants to throw it.
Bases loaded. The curveball, strike 3 call. The Yankees with a threat. They leave them loaded. Carlos Guillen coming up, then Pudge Rodriguez. No score. Here come the Tigers into the second inning. No score in the game. From Yankee Stadium, New York, New York. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein. Game 2 of this American League Division Series. The Yankees won Game 1 on Tuesday. Carlos Guillen. And he's one of the Tigers' leaders. He's a veteran, excellent hitter, .320 batting average, a switch hitter. 19 homers, 41 doubles, 85 runs batted in, and he gets
on base.
Good share of walks as well, Joe.
Base, yeah.
Steals bases.
Good pitch.
There's Damon out in center toward left center and 1 away.
Let's take a look at the sequence of pitches to A-Rod in the last inning with the bases loaded. And I want you to notice one thing. Watch where the ball starts and where it ends up. Look at the movement on these pitches. Starts in the middle and just tails in. And here's just a hammer. That's nothing you can do about that, Alex. And like I said with Gary Sheffield, you haven't seen that pitch. He threw you 2 fastballs, and you haven't seen the curve, and all of a sudden he drops that on you. You have no chance.
I mean, is that because the fastball coming in at 100, 101?
Yeah, you got to look for the fastball, because you can't hit it if you don't look for it. Okay. You have to look for it, but you still have to try to pick up some spin on the curveball. It's just difficult to do.
Alex was hot there for a while, as you saw by that graphic. Pudge Rodriguez takes ball 1 on a curveball from Mike Messina. Pudge hit 300 this year, 13 homers, 69 batted in, hitting 6th in the order. Both of the Rodriguezes are hitting 6th. Much was made of the one hitting 6th. The New York Rodriguez. Messina throws out Pudge, and that is out number 2. Well, the Major League Baseball Division Series presented by Budweiser continues later today with games on ESPN and later on Fox. At 4 o'clock Eastern, ESPN will have Game 2 of the Cardinals and the Padres from Petco Park. David Wells will be trying to get a big win for the Padres at home before they hit the road. Jeff Weaver will go for the Cardinals. Then at 8 Eastern, Fox will have Game 2. The Dodgers and the Mets from right here in New York over at Shea Stadium. Had a wild Game 1 over there yesterday on ESPN. And Messina with the breaking ball too high for ball 1 to Craig Monroe. Jeff Weaver, David Wells at 4 o'clock on ESPN. in San Diego. Hung Chi Kuo, the left-hander from Taiwan, up against Tom Glavine, the veteran lefty, closing in on 300 career victories for the New York Mets. Craig Monroe, 28 home runs, including one that Jim Leland finally said, although he doesn't like to label games as big or whatever, he said maybe the biggest hit of the year was Monroe's game-winning home run in the 9th inning right here back on August the 30th. Tigers have been losing. Things were not going well. They were behind against the Yankees in the 9th inning, and then Monroe with 2 outs hit a 2-run homer, and suddenly they were ahead and they won that game.
I was watching that ball game, and they were going down meekly, and somebody walked the guy, Proctor, and then the next pitch was a slider, and he hit it right out of the ballpark to win the ball game.
Cena with the high fastball, and Monroe takes it. So Monroe, it's interesting. 28 home runs, pretty good. Most on the Tigers, but since that home run, he has hit only 181 the rest of the year. That one is drilled, and that's a fair ball, touched by a fan interference, and the umpires will award Monroe second base on the fan interference. When a fan interferes with the ball, the umpires have to decide what they think would have happened if the fan had not interfered, and then award the man who hit the ball the proper base.
Well, it's a breaking ball, and I mean, he is a good breaking ball hitter. When they, especially when they leave it up, he reaches out, gets this one, and pulls it down the line. And it's just barely hits fair down the left field line. It's on the chalk line. It actually bounces up into the stands.
Now the signal was not automatic double. The signal was fan interference, and that's a base hit for Marcus Timms. And heading around third and scoring is Craig Monroe, the first run of the game.
And make no mistake about it, that's a big run for Detroit, because, you know, they've probably thought to themselves, what happens if we can play them even for a while instead of falling behind in the ball game. They made a big comeback the other night and fell sharp. There's another big breaking curveball. He kind of fights this one off over the second baseman Cano's leap, and with it being hit that softly, there's no chance to try to get Monroe anyway with 2 outs.
Now Brandon Inge. Tigers have a very interesting lineup. There's a lot of power in this lineup, and an extraordinary amount of power in the last 3 spots in the lineup. Look out. Hello. Close shave there from Messina to Brandon Inge. Brandon Inge, 27 home runs this year, and he's hitting 9th. Marcus Timms hit 26 home runs. He's hitting 8th. And Monroe led the team with 28 homers. He's hitting 7th.
That last pitch was a purpose pitch. They'd hit 2 breaking balls for base hits, and he wanted to make sure they weren't sitting on the breaking ball. So the first pitch, fastball in to Inge.
Now what about in and up around the chin like that?
Well, he wasn't at his, it wasn't way inside. I think it was just more up and over the plate.
You thought that was over the plate?
Yeah, well, guys dive in a little bit. You can see right there that his first move is toward the inside part of the plate. I mean, he wasn't trying to hit him, but I know he was trying to make sure that they weren't sitting on the breaking ball.
You remember, when was that? 4 years ago, when Kenny Lofton was with the Giants? Got a couple of pitches up and in against the Cardinals. And Kenny Lofton got very upset, and it created some bad blood between the clubs. Inge gave no sort of hostile reaction to it. That is fouled back out of play. 2-2 the count. The leadoff man, Curtis Granderson, is on deck. You see the statistic, and that's what it is, a statistic. And it's about almost identical to the regular season statistic for scoring the first run of the game. That's foul. So the count is 2-2 to Brandon Inge. Inge, in addition to being a power hitter for the Tigers, big home run man, there are some scouts, Joe saw him a lot this year, who will tell you that they think that he's become a Gold Glove quality third baseman defensively. 2-2 the count. Marcus Timms, the runner at first. Did he swing? The appeal, yes. Alfonso Marquez rings him up. But the Tigers, with a 2-out rally, a double by Monroe, Tim singles him home. 1-0 Detroit. Matsui coming up. Now the Yankees trailing 1-0, and Hideki Matsui base hit. First ball swinging against Verlander. Now let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein with more on Justin Verlander.
Well, John, you'd think with 17 wins, Verlander would be one of those guys who says, oh, I'm not a rookie anymore. And he is just the opposite. He really relishes the role, saying, yeah, I'm still wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. I love going to stadiums for the first time. He had never been to Yankee Stadium till late August when the Tigers were here. And after one of the games, he went out by himself, took a look around, soaked up the aura. He said, there was nobody in the stands, but I still felt like everybody was on top of me. I said, wait till you hear the voices that come from those stands.
Well, and he last night was all amped up, ready to pitch, prepared, getting his game face on, and then even went out to the outfield to start stretching and even played long toss for a brief time. And then there was no game, and he wondered maybe just how much sleep he would get after being so pumped up and ready to pitch last night. And the changeup misses here to Posada. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, with all the great names in this lineup, you know, Posada doesn't get the credit that he deserves for being the guy behind the plate, the guy that also comes in with clutch hits. I mean, Joe Torre has to be just ecstatic to have a guy like him in the midst of all these great players that, you know, get all the other accolades and whatever. I mean, he is, you know, one of the best players on this team.
And for his position, and still a clutch player.
Right.
A leader in the dirt for a ball. And it is 2-1. Posada, 23 homers, 93 batted in this year. And he is third on the Yankees list of home runs by a catcher, behind a couple of Hall of Famers, Yogi Berra and Bill Dickey. Posada, at an age, he's 35 years old now, where catchers' offensive numbers start to take a dive. But his are pretty healthy.
I think he had one of his best years, considering all the things that went on and everything he had to go through, and with all the injuries to the team and et cetera, I think this is one of his best seasons.
93 batted in, and yet he's hitting 8th in the order.
Right.
And that's, I'm sticking on your theme here of great lineup.
Yeah, definitely.
A guy who almost won the batting title is on deck, hitting 9th. 2-2. And there's that curveball that kind of hung up there, and Posada just got a piece of it to stay alive. The Yankees, #1 in the American League, #1 in the National League, #1 in the world in runs per game, 2nd in the league in batting average, 2nd in home runs, #1 in on-base percentage, and that's a fairly extraordinary number. And they can steal bases as well. That curve is pulled foul. 2-2. The Yankees can really slug, and when you look at those numbers, keep in mind Hideki Matsui and Gary Sheffield, 2 of the key men in terms of knocking in runs. They're both perennial 100+ RBI men. Both of them missed most of the year. Look out. 3-2. 97 mile an hour. High and tight. All right, what about Matsui at first, Joe?
Well, because he's been hurt, I would say no, because he's been injured. But this is one of those situations where Joe would normally do that.
He does not go.
No, I don't see. I think Joe is going to be cautious, not only with Matsui but Sheffield. You know, those 2 guys have been injured. They haven't played the full season. And there's a rhythm that goes with the game. And sometimes, you know, when you sit out for that long, you don't have the rhythm on the base pass. You can get a rhythm taking extra batting practice, extra ground balls, all that. But you're not going to get the rhythm of running the bases and the timing that it takes unless you're in the game.
Yeah, there's a throw to first. And also keep in mind, one of Verlander's attributes, people do not steal bases. When he's on the mound, he allowed only 1 stolen base in his 30 starts this year. And he walks Posada. And now he's in trouble. 2 men on, nobody out. And the red-hot Robinson Cano coming up.
Now look, I mean, as I said before, I don't think you can shut this lineup down. You just have to make sure you try to control them. You can't worry, all right, I just walked a guy. There's a runner at second base. What you have to do is try to always keep the damage to a minimum.
Cano finished third in the league in batting average. Here's Chuck Hernandez. He came out for a visit in the first inning. He's back out here in the second. Yankees have put 5 men on base within the first 8 hitters they've sent to the plate against Verlander, although they have not yet scored. But you got Cano coming up now as the leadoff man Damon is behind him. Third base coach Larry Bowe was over to speak to Matsui while they were conferencing on the mound. So is this a bunt right here, Joe?
No. First of all, I mean, it's very difficult to bunt a guy that's throwing as hard as Verlander is. And you've got a guy that, like you said, finished third in the batting championship race. And he's one of your hottest hitters. I don't think you give him up, especially because he's left-handed.
Cano had a double and a single in 3 at-bats against Verlander back in June. Did he swing at that one? No. Third base umpire Larry Pansino ruled in favor of Cano. 1 ball, no strikes. In September, he had 373.
I wanted to see if he swung. It appeared to me that he did swing and check, but they said no.
1 ball, no strikes.
Tigers thought so.
There is Damon, the leadoff man, on deck. 2 men on, nobody out. That is in there for a strike. A fastball at 97. Matsui led off the inning on the first pitch, singling to right, and Posada walked. Matsui at second, Posada at first, nobody out. And that is foul off the left field line. And it is 1-2. Cano's mother, Claribel, is up from the Caribbean, and Cano, who is not married, keeps a photograph of he and his mother pictured together in his locker in the Yankee clubhouse. Robinson Cano, as much as he's already accomplished in this game, Joe, he's only 23 years old. And that's a foul. I remember one of the first things we heard as glowing praise for him last year when he came up was from Red Sox manager Terry Francona, who said, this guy has got unbelievable talent. He may be another Rod Carew before he's finished. Well, the way he put everything together this year, it certainly made you think of Carew maybe with a little more power than Rod.
He's a little different, more power. I don't know if we're going to see another hitter like Rod Carew. Rod Carew is, in my opinion, one of the greatest hitters ever to play the game. And I don't know if we're going to see anyone with that type of ability to just hit and, move the ball around the field. But Robinson Cano definitely has a little more power, I think, because makes a different approach than what Rod Carew made to the ball.
Well, he only played 122 games this year because of an injured hamstring, 15 homers, and over 40 doubles. Verlander bluffing towards second. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cano. Verlander has already thrown 35 pitches in this game, working with nobody out in the second. 2 men on. Just off the outside at 101 miles an hour.
I think we showed on a replay how the ball moves when A-Rod was hitting. The ball starts toward the inner half of the plate and then it moves off. And that's what he's having trouble controlling the outside corner. He's tried it a couple of times with these left-handed hitters, and the ball just moves at the last split second away.
The breaking ball to third. Inge gets 1 over to first. Too late.
Inge did not see that ball right away. Yeah, I mean, you can see him now, but he didn't see the ball. When that ball was first hit, I watched him, and he didn't move. And then all of a sudden, he picked it up. He hits it off the end of the bat. Now watch Inge down here. See, he's not moving. He's still not moving. And there's the ball almost 3/4 of the way down there. And he goes over, and luckily for the Tigers, he did spot it eventually because he did not see it when it first came off the bat.
Wow.
But a nice play late, you know, just to keep the ball from going down the line.
Now that is very interesting because the background is the seats in shadows, not a bright background.
Well, I don't know exactly what happened, but I could tell. I was watching, you know, from above, and the ball was hit, and I didn't see him move.
Well, he definitely did not move, and it might have cost him a chance at a double play because he reacted so late to it. He did get the lead runner.
Watch him here. Now, the ball will be hit. Now, watch him after he hits. Now, here's the ball's hit. See, he's still standing there. He's still standing there. I mean, now he's still there. At the last second, you see him go after the ball.
It's almost like he heard it before he saw it.
Well, that's probably he knew the ball was put in play, just didn't know where.
Too high. 97 miles an hour to Damon. 2 balls and a strike. 1 out, 2 men on. It's been a long, laborious trek for Verlander these first 2 innings. He had 1 hit allowed and 2 walks in the first inning. Got it out of a bases loaded jam. A single and a walk to start this inning. Cano then hit into a force play. Posada at second. Cano at first. Damon lifts a high fly ball. Left center. Battling the fierce sunshine out there. The center fielder Granderson called off Monroe. And that is out number 2. The 2 of them talking it over after that play as well. Out there in left center.
We talked about how Jeter had handled all the pitches middle of the plate in against the Tigers on Tuesday, and we wondered if they would make any adjustments. Well, the first pitch, they were going to go away the last time up. He bunted. Let's see what happens. I don't think you can pitch Derek any one way because he's such a good hitter. He makes adjustments to what you're doing. So you're going to have to mix your pitches. I still think you're always better off pitching them away, but you have to mix them.
Jeter tried to bunt for a base hit his first time and popped it up to the catcher.
Now they come back inside.
The Jeter swing. Yes.
See, and I think that's a way you do it. You go in, then you go back away, you go away, you're in and out. You try to mix your pitches. Fastball way up and in. He tried to check. He had just his shoulders actually swung the bat around. You see, it just keeps going because he did stop his swing, but his shoulders pulled it on around through the zone.
Jeter, 2 men on, 2 men out. Zumaya down and away at 1. I say I'm talking about another 100-mile-an-hour plus guy. Zumaya out of the bullpen. We may see him later today.
Well, we're going to see somebody out of that bullpen because there's no way Verlander can go 9 innings throwing as many pitches as he's throwing.
He's thrown 43 pitches already. Justin Verlander. Jeter hit that one sharply right to short. Guillen to second. And the force out, Polanco forces Cano. More of a threat for the Yankees. No runs. Top of the order coming up for the Tigers. Stadium in New York. And Curtis Granderson, the leadoff man for the Tigers, who struck out his first time, standing in against Mike Messina. 1-0, Detroit ahead. Fastball to strike at the knees. Well, the Yankees have not scored, but they've sent 11 men to the plate against Verlander. He's thrown 44 pitches in that time, and they've stranded 5 runners in 2 innings. The curveball, Granderson ran up as if to bunt, took it for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Polanco on deck. Sean Casey due up third. There's Justin Verlander from Goochland, Virginia. And he's in a part of Goochland called Mannequin Sabbath. He said either one, not very big. That curveball in there for a strike. It is 1 and 2.
It appears to me that Granderson is really having trouble picking up the spin on Messina's breaking ball.
1 and 2 the count. Curveball. And the true hop for Sheffield. Messina covering.
You know what? That was an excellent play there by Sheffield. A lot of guys, you know, more comfortable with the position. They just grab the ball and flip it to the first pitcher coming. He ran toward the pitcher, made it a softer throw so the pitcher could see it coming. Now watch where he is. Now watch how he feels this ball. Now a lot of guys will just catch it and flip it to him. See how he comes to it and then makes it a much easier play for both he and the pitcher. A lot of guys will just catch it right there, turn and flip it. but he comes right to the pitcher, chest high. I mean, that's a beautiful play, and that's one of the reasons that Don Mattingly said that he thought that he could be an excellent first baseman. He started off as a shortstop with Milwaukee years ago, so he's got good hands.
Placido Polanco takes a called strike. Polanco struck out his first time. That's almost exactly the way he started in the first time. The high fastball that got Jim Leland all upset, and had Las Diaz, the plate umpire, scolding Leland. So he starts him up there again. Strike one again. Sean Casey on deck. Right to third, Alex Rodriguez, and that is out number 2. It's been a long time since the Tigers were last playing baseball in October in postseason play. It's their first postseason appearance since the 1987 League Championship Series, which they lost to the Royals. The Minnesota Twins is what I remember, and the Twins, of course, ended up in the World Series that year and won it against the Cardinals. Last time the Tigers were in the World Series in 1984, and they defeated the San Diego Padres 4-1. That was under Sparky Anderson, and they had quite a ball club that year. Casey down the left field line into the corner. That ball is a foul ball. So the count to Casey is 0-1. Casey was safe on an error by Derek Jeter his first time as Matsui heads back to his position. But the Tigers in 1984, that was the year that they had the greatest start to a season that any team has ever had. After 40 games in 1984, the Tigers were 35-5. Jack Morris, Dan Petrie, Milt Wilcox at the top of the starting rotation. Guys like Aurelio Lopez and Willie Hernandez in the bullpen. Hernandez had an extraordinary year as the closer. Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell up the middle, Lance Parrish the catcher, Chet Lemon out in center field. Strong defense, strong offense, strong pitching, and they won it all. Jeter far afield to get that one over to Messina. 3 ground ball outs. Bobby Abreu, Gary Sheffield, Jason Giambi. Big power coming up for the Yankees. Game 2 of the American League Division Series. The Tigers and Yankees. The Yankees lead 1-0 in this best-of-5 series. The Tigers lead this game 1-0. Last out the third. Here is Bobby Abreu, the third place hitter for New York. And young Justin Verlander misses high for ball 1. Abreu walked his first time. Cleanup man Gary Sheffield on deck. Jason Giambi due up third. And a high foul off the left field side into the upper deck. We had the sellout crowd was here last night, and the tickets for last night are the only time you could use them is today when that one got rained out, and some people were not able to make it. It is not completely filled at Yankee Stadium today, although a huge crowd nonetheless. As Abreu belts one to right field, and that ball is off the wall. Ordonez plays the carom, holds him to a single.
Well, that ball was hit like a shot. It just wasn't high enough if you're a Yankee fan to get out of here. It was hit hard enough to get out, but it just didn't have enough height. Well, the one thing you can't do is pitch, from behind or even with these guys. They're going to sit on the fastball, and he gets a fastball up, pretty much in the middle of the plate, and he hammers it to right field. And again, they're lucky that ball just wasn't high enough to go out. Yeah, the Yankee players thought it might get out of here. They knew it was hit hard enough, just wasn't high enough. And you look at this game, John, Verlander has 2 shutout innings, but he has struggled with this lineup, and it's going to continue. But that's okay.
Here's Sheffield. He pulls one foul.
I mean, you can't expect to go up 1-2-3, 1-2-3 against this type of a lineup. There are going to be some times you're going to have to make tough pitches, get out of a jam, and he's done that well so far. So, I mean, that's what I was saying before. Don't get too caught up in trying to shut them out. Just keep your team in the game.
So it's more of a containment.
Right. That's all you want to do.
And
you cannot shut them down.
Nate Robertson was not able to stay out of the big inning here in game 1 on Tuesday. And you see that quick pickoff throw of Verlander. Abreu, who can steal a base, just barely got back. He had 30 steals this year. The short arm throw, just back again. Only one stolen base occurred in a Verlander start this year. He also had 8 pickoffs. Very unusual for a right-hander. And the curveball to Sheffield. He started him with a changeup that was fouled, and then the curveball, and he's ahead of him 0-2.
And not just a curveball, a beautiful, perfectly thrown curveball, knee-high toward the outside corner. You can't attack that if you're a hitter.
Giambi on deck. Another curveball. This could be 2. Polanco steps in the bag 1. Over to first. 2. A double play.
And a nice play there by Polanco. You say, why didn't he flip it again? The fewer tosses or that you have, the better off you are. If you can take it yourself, as a middle infielder, you're always taught to take it yourself. The ball brings you to the bag automatically. 2 steps, and you fire. Now, if you're 3 or 4 steps away, you have to flip it to your partner on the infield. But this ball takes him towards second base, 2 steps, and he has time for the double play. You don't want to transfer the ball and make too many tosses if you do not have to.
Now Giambi, and the changeup up and away for ball 1. Giambi walked his first time. Verlander walked 3 in the first 2 innings. Give up 2 hits, but the Yankees 0 for 5 in their bats with men in scoring position. Well, he came right back with another changeup. That one's a strike.
And that's one of the things that I'm seeing more and more of lately. Not necessarily 2 changeups in a row, but pitchers backing up pitches. 2 fastballs in a row, 2 curveballs in a row, 2 sliders. For a while, it looked like they wanted to throw every pitch they had to every hitter. They want to throw them a fastball, then a curveball, then a slider, then a changeup. And I think that was one of the reasons there were more walks. Now you see guys backing them up. If they throw a good pitch, they come back with it.
Well, that was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and it looked like it was just the pitch that Giambi was waiting for.
Well, the good thing for Verlander was up a little bit. Giambi still likes the ball down. He doesn't he doesn't handle the high fastball middle in as well as he does the other fastballs.
Curveball struck him out. And that's the first quick inning for Verlander. Maglio Ordonez, the cleanup hitter, coming up. 1-0 Detroit. Now the Tigers. Here is Maglio Ordonez, the cleanup hitter, against Mike Messina. 1-0. Detroit ahead. And that knuckle curveball, no swing, says Alfonso Marquez, the first base umpire. 1 ball and no strikes.
Well, let's take a quick look. And he controlled it. Although in slow motion it looks worse than it really is, so he did check it.
That's a check swing foul. I thought in slow motion we're really seeing how far he really went,
but
versus the illusion.
It always looks worse when you use slow motion, because he definitely had the barrel under control, but the bat bends a little bit, and it may look like the head of the bat goes farther than it really does.
But you remember what Sandy Alderson told us? They gave the instructions to umpires about check swings. They said the determining factor is, did the hitter attempt to strike the ball?
I mean, that's.
Now he definitely attempted to strike that one.
Yeah, that's a little different.
He did not strike it well.
Looking at it.
Cano, he's got it, and there is one away. Ordonez is 0 for 2. He struck out his first.
Because anytime you try to stop your swing, you're attempting to not swing at the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know if that.
Well, I mean, it really did not clear it up for us.
Right.
You know, it's basically, I think, what the instruction did. But there's nothing in the rule book even about a check swing.
Right.
It's either did he swing or did he not swing? And the umpires are trying to make that determination, but they added that little note to the instructions of the umpires. Did he attempt to strike the ball? And I think that has cleared it up enough for the umpires that ever since then, they've called those just about exactly the same as they always did before. Carlos Guillen takes strike 1 from Mike Messina. Switch hitting Guillen, a real leader in this Tigers ball club, and they lost him for a while with a hamstring injury.
And they thought it was going to be a lot longer than it was, and that's when they were starting a tailspin and they really needed him.
And that was a dark period for the Tigers. He rips that one past Sheffield. And Sheffield looked like he didn't see that one well off the bat. Abreu's got a strong arm, but no chance to get Guillen, who runs well. It's a stand-up double.
When you play so many night games, your eyes and your rhythm in the game, you know, you're accustomed to the darkness. And you play in a day game, there is an adjustment you have to make. This ball is ripped down the line. Fastball was supposed to be in. He misses his spot. It's ripped, but it's also hooking away from Sheffield, and he can't. He kind of lunges at it, but the ball is hooking, and you see he can't reach it. And like you said, he may not have seen it as quickly as he would like coming off the bat either.
The long shadows of October moving inexorably toward home plate. And the longer they get, the more difficult it will be for the left fielder in particular, shortstop, third baseman, to track balls in the air. There's the curve from Messina. Did he swing? No, says Alfonso Marquez. Ball one to Pudge Rodriguez.
Well, it's a curveball. It's the same pitch he threw to Ordonez. Let's take a look at this one. Well, you can see that his hands are out there, but his barrel of the bat is back. So, you know, again, he had control of the bat. I think that's the key.
You control the bat. You're not attempting to strike the ball.
Exactly. All right, now we've got that cleared up.
I'm glad you cleared that up for me after all these years. Pudge Rodriguez trying to knock home Guillen from second base. That'll get Guillen to third base. Derek Jeter throws out Rodriguez. 2 down. Runner at third now. And Craig Monroe, who had one of the biggest hits of the year for the Tigers right here in this ballpark. A game-winning home run in the 9th inning that brought the Tigers from behind to a win. Monroe, 29 years old. Yankee fans enjoying. Was that Cracker Jacks? Did you see Cracker Jacks here, Joe?
Love those as a kid.
Cracker Jack.
Hate them as an adult.
How about some salted in the shell peanuts?
Oh, I still like that.
The bunt, but he was going to have to beat it out for it to work, and he bunted it right back to Messina. That was the Tigers' leading home run hitter. With a runner at third, he bunted. Interesting finish to the Tigers' 4th inning. Runner at third and 2 down, and Craig Monroe hit 28 home runs this year. Tried to bunt his way aboard to get the run home.
Well, John, we're going to show you why he tried to bunt. The position of A-Rod was the reason he tried to bunt. It's not such a bad idea as it may seem, but he didn't execute. He should have taken that pitch because it ran in on him. If the ball's away, I think he would have been able to bunt it and maybe beat it out.
Here's Alex, and the curveball misses.
Let's take a look here. Now, see how deep Alex Rodriguez is. That's the reason he tries to bunt. If he drops the ball anywhere in here, it's a base hit. But the ball was inside. It ran inside. And watch, the ball runs inside on him, and now he just fights it off. What he should have done is taken that pitch when it wasn't right where he wanted it to be. And then I think, he could have probably executed properly.
Monroe back out in left field, having to contend with the bright glare of the sun now as Alex Rodriguez looks at a called strike.
Now see, watch the ball runs in. Watch how he almost gets hit with it and he just drops it down. No chance. Now he reacts at first base. I don't think he's mad because he was trying to bunt. I think he was mad because he bunted at a pitch that he couldn't get where he wanted it to go.
Look out, here comes Monroe. He's got it. Nice play into a slide. Granderson also is moving in, and Guillen, the shortstop, going out, but it was Monroe who took charge.
You know what's funny? I think Granderson or Monroe could have caught that ball, and great for Monroe to take charge, even though the center fielder usually takes charge in that situation. But either one of them, watch, Granderson can catch it as well. See, he gets there, and so does Monroe. So excellent coverage there by both the outfielders. They both came to get it. Monroe says, I got it, cuts in front, and makes the catch. But Granderson, you see, he could have caught it as well. That's what speed does for you in the outfield. It closes the gap very quickly.
Alex Rodriguez is 0 for 2 in the game. He struck out looking his first time. Here's Hideki Matsui. Matsui takes a changeup for ball one. Matsui single to right his first time. And Verlander with his 61st pitch of the game. Another changeup for a strike, and it is 1-1. Verlander was in nothing but trouble in the first 2 innings and somehow survived it, and then had a quick 3rd inning. timeout granted just as he was about to throw that ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
John, when the Yankees go into the postseason, their mindset is different than other teams. And I say that because when Joe Torre, I've known him a long time and I've talked to him, when he goes into the postseason, he's looking at a 19-game season. He's not looking past the Tigers. He's not looking past the next round. But he says that's what our goal is, to get those 19 games.
That's another base hit from Matsui.
Because those 19 games will get him through the World Series. So that's what he's trying to do. That's how he sets his team up. And you say, well, other teams don't do that. Well, they have not had the success over the years that the Yankees have. When the Yankees go into postseason, if they don't win the World Series, it's almost considered a failure. They've got 26 World Championships. So success breeds confidence. They're confident that, yes, we can get this done. So when they go into the postseason, it's a 19-game season for them. Everybody else is trying to get round for round and go forth. But again, he's not looking past anyone, but that's his ultimate goal.
Jorge Posada, the hitter. Changeup for a called strike. Posada walked his first time. It's a glorious history.
Yeah.
26 World Series titles. They've been to 39 World Series.
Look at that, 12 consecutive, though. See, that they're used to being in the first round. They're not worried about the first round. They're trying to get, to the final round.
Curveball, strike, and it's 0-2.
And that's not being overly cocky. That's having confidence in your team to say. I mean, we've heard numerous occasions Derek Jeter say, well, if we don't get to the World Series, the season is not a success. And that's the mindset that they have.
And a curve that almost hits Posada. Nice save there by Pudge Rodriguez to keep the double play in order. Matsui having to hold it first. 1-2. Now, I would agree with your statement there about it's not a successful season unless you get to the World Series. I think any team that makes it to the World Series has had a heck of a year.
Right.
But the Yankees, no. It's not just getting the World Series.
They're trying to win their 27th championship. You're right. But
I don't agree with that thinking.
Yeah. Well, But you would if you had the success that the Yankees have had their history.
So in other words, you're not satisfied.
No, you're not satisfied.
Just getting to the World Series.
Exactly. You're not satisfied if you're the Yankees and have a storied history like they have. I mean, any other team and most teams, that's what your goal is, to get to the World Series and then try to win it, of course. But your goal is to get there. The Yankees, goal is to win the championship.
Fastball from Verlander up and away. 3-2. He was 0-2 to Posada. This is a Yankee fan who's displaying a lot of that Yankee history.
And again, success breeds confidence. If you're successful, you'll be confident that you can do that. And the history of this franchise has been very successful in accomplishing that goal.
Matsui, the runner at first, 1 out. He's not running, and that's ball 4.
Looked like a changeup or something he threw.
I think it was. And that's the 4th walk allowed by Verlander. He's got Jim Leland pacing in the dugout.
Well, I don't know why he and Pudge Rodriguez would want to do that when you have such a great fastball, but they decided they wanted to throw a changeup. And make no mistake about it, Posada is a very good fastball hitter.
At some point, if you can throw 100 miles an hour,
right,
you got to say, well, this guy's 35 years old. If he can hit 100 miles an hour, more power to him.
And especially when you look in the on-deck circle. And you see Robinson Cano coming up next.
So after a quiet 3rd inning, he's back in trouble here in the 4th. 2 men on, 1 man out. And Robinson Cano, 3rd in the league and batting this year at the plate. Changeup, Monroe, and just like that, Cano is gone.
Well, now that was a great pitch. And very rarely do you see guys start. We've seen more of this lately than before. Starting a hitter off with a changeup. And the reason is he has nothing to gauge it against in that at-bat. So you throw him a changeup, and I think the reason it's successful, it moves away. This ball is moving that way, away from Cano, and he reaches out to get it. Now watch, see, he reaches to the ball. He just reaches out there to get to it because the last moment that ball moved away from him. You see he's off balance. Excellent pitch.
Now Johnny Damon. Fastball away at 96. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 men on, 2 men out. The Yankees have not yet had a hit with a runner at 2nd or 3rd or both. No hits, 6 at-bats as a team. with runners in what we call scoring position. Damon drives one. Way back there. Way back there. Upper deck. A 3-run homer.
John, I said it yesterday and I said it again today. It is just hard for any pitcher to go through this lineup 3 times without getting touched up a little bit.
Damon takes a bow.
And he just continued to have those situations where he'd pitch out of a jam, but it's just almost impossible to go through this lineup like that and not get hurt somewhere along the way.
3-1. The Yankees have turned it around on the Tigers. One swing at Johnny Damon's bat. The 5th postseason home run for Damon. Remember when he crushed the Yankees right here in this ballpark with 2 Game 7 home runs, including a grand slam that was a total backbreaker in 2004 that helped propel the Red Sox into the World Series. A 3-run shot for Damon. He had 24 homers in the regular season. As Jeter takes one a little bit low. 1 ball, or rather 2 balls, and 1 strike.
Well, it registered as a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and he hit it into the upper deck. So if you can catch up with that 98-mile-an-hour fastball, it goes a long way.
So Verlander supplied a lot of the power for him. Derek Jeter. Deep left center field. Monroe on the run. Can't get it. Up against the wall. And Jeter with his first hit of the day and his 6th of this series.
Another fastball, and again, you know, they've seen him 3 times now. This is the 3rd time around. They've seen the fastball. They've seen how much it moves, and they know how fast it is. The first time up, sometimes they can sneak the fastballs on you, or the breaking balls are breaking more than you think. But after you've gotten a chance to bat against a guy twice and see all of his pitches, now you have a chance to adjust, and that's what they're doing now. Well, this is a 2-1 fastball, but again, it's in the middle of the plate in. That ball's inside again. They've had trouble with getting Jeter on the ball in. Here's Damon. That ball is middle of the plate in as well. And Damon just kind of drops the barrel of the bat on it, and it goes a long way into the upper deck.
And from the upper deck, the ovation on the 3-run homer. Damon has turned the game around. 3-1 Yankees.
And as we mentioned in the open, John, yesterday, Jeter 5 for 5, Abreu 4 RBIs. But they have 6 other All-Stars in this lineup that you have to contend with every day.
Here's Bobby Abreu, who has walked and singled. Change up for a strike. Remember, Abreu had 4 RBIs in Game 1. And the Tiger bullpen gets busy after Jim Leland's visit to the mound.
Keep forgetting we're in the American League. They have 7 other All-Stars other than Jeter and Abreu.
Yeah. 9 hitters in the lineup.
Yeah.
10-man team.
Yeah. Other than in the National League where you only have 8 hitters and a pitcher.
There is Wilfredo Ledesma, the left-hander up in the Detroit bullpen. So Verlander has worked hard in every inning, although he had a quick 3rd, but he's been in trouble in every other inning. There is Sean Casey, and the inning is over. But the 2-out, 3-run homer by Damon, and the Yankees have a 3-1 lead after 4. First ball swinging. Marcus Timms down the left field line. That's a fair ball, and it bounces up into the crowd. An automatic double. So the Tigers trailing by 2, but Marcus Timms leads off the inning with a double. Brandon Inge coming up, and let's go to Carl Ravitch for a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update.
Hi, John. Thank you. A federal judge ordered Barry Bonds' personal trainer, Greg Anderson, released from prison Thursday because a federal appeals court hadn't affirmed his contempt order within the required 30 days. He may end up returning to prison. Abuse charges dropped against Brett Myers. Remember, he was arrested back in June after witnesses saw him strike his wife. A judge dismissed all charges today.
All right, Carl, thank you. And here it is 3-1. The Yankees leading the Tigers in the 5th inning. The Tigers trying to mount a comeback now.
Well, the one thing the Tigers do, they do not quit. We've seen that. And you have to be proud of them if you're a Detroit fan, because they came from 5-0 to make it a game in Game 1. And, you know, right away, not letting Messina shut them down quickly this inning after the Yankees took the lead shows that they've still got a lot of fight in them. They got a long way to go.
Marcus Timms, a former Yankee, knocked in a run against Messina with a single in the 2nd. Now he's hit a double against him. Timms has 2 doubles in the series and 3 hits in 6 at-bats. Well, Messina blew a fastball right by Brandon Inge, who hit 27 home runs this year.
John, the first pitch, Inge was trying to shoot the ball the other way, and he took an awkward swing. So now he's trying to shoot the ball. Messina just throws him a high fastball, and he chases it. I think now you just have to try to drive him in.
Leadoff man Curtis Granderson is on deck. 3-1 the Yankees ahead. Now Posada's going to go out and talk to Messina. Messina on the mound for the Yankees, the 37-year-old veteran, and Justin Verlander, the 23-year-old rookie for the Tigers. And here is the Yellow Book pitching summary. It's been a laborious outing for Verlander, which almost every pitcher experiences against the Yankees. 80 pitches in 4 innings in his first postseason start. Messina has been very efficient. In fact, they'd only thrown 17 pitches in the last 2 innings combined. Curveball in the dirt, and that gets away from Posada. And over to third base goes Timms. So what Inge was trying to do, the Yankees have now done for him.
Yeah, definitely.
So a runner at third, nobody out.
It's a breaking ball. Posada slides over to try to get in front of it, you see, and it bounces off him and bounces away. And Timms easily over to third base. A wild pitch.
Infield stays back. Inge backs away. Brandon Inge, 27 home runs this year, 83 batted in, although he always batted low in the batting order. You see the shadows advancing toward home plate. Check swing and a foul.
Well, obviously, Messina's going for the strikeout now, and he was trying to get the high fastball middle of the plate in. He got it too far in, but he was definitely going for the strikeout. And he'll be cautious with the curveball again, because you don't want to bounce it and have another wild pitch to get the runner in from third. If he throws the curveball, he'll have to start it higher and make sure he throws a strike with it.
Tigers have only 4 hits so far against Messina. We're in the 5th. And again, he's staying after him with that high fastball, and Inge fights that one off.
Well, that's a good strikeout pitch. You can get a guy to go up the ladder and keep going. Pretty soon he can't catch up with it.
Now, Inge can get an RBI just by hitting a ground ball to one of the infielders
place other than the pitcher.
But Messina making it hard for him to hit a ground ball. A fly ball hit well would also get it done. Strike 3 call.
And that's just Messina knowing how to pitch. I mean, he went up and in 3 times, John, and now what did he do? He goes away. And Inge is just not prepared for it. He set him up with the 3 pitches in. There's another pitch in. You see he's trying to go the other way. Another fastball in. Breaking ball that he got away from him. Another high fastball. Another high fastball. And then he goes away with a fastball.
Wow.
See? He took the curveball away from him with the wild pitch, but he says, hey, I'll do it with the fastball, and there was perfect pitching there from Messina.
Not unusual for Messina to get a called third strike. Now Granderson, curveball, too low. Granderson trying to get that runner home from third. In fairness to Inge, there wasn't a runner at third until he already had 2 strikes.
And truthfully, John, I don't think he should have been trying to move the runner over. You are one of the RBI guys on this ball club. If it comes, if it hits it that way, you hit it that way. But to make an attempt is pretty difficult with a 3-1 lead.
That one's into left center field. Johnny Damon, the catch. He's got a weak arm, though. Here comes Marcus Timms. He scores easily. As Damon's throw looked like it had a parachute attached to it.
A-Rod's going to go over and tag third base to make sure he didn't leave too quickly. And third base umpire Paul Immel says he did not leave too quickly. Larry Pansino, I'm sorry, said he didn't leave too soon. There's Larry. But as John said, not much throwing strength in the outfield, center and left for the Yankees. Abreu has a pretty good arm, but in left, Matsui and of course Damon do not have strong throwing arms.
So now it's 3-2, and here is Polanco. Messina drops in a called strike with an off-speed pitch. Polanco is struck out and grounded out. 0 for 2. 3-2, the Yankees lead. Johnny Damon's 3-run homer in the 4th inning. All the offense for the Yankees. Tigers got a run in the 2nd, driven in by Timms, and a run here in the 5th, scored by Timms, and that's a ball. The Tigers have been pretty efficient. They haven't had many opportunities against Messina. This is only really the 3rd scoring chance they've had, and twice they've gotten the guy home. It's not like they've had bases loaded or 1st and 3rd.
Not
it's
like
always
the Yankees.
Basically one guy on base at a time.
The Yankees have had a lot of opportunities.
They've had 3 guys get to scoring position, and twice they got him home. Broken back there by Polanco on a check swing. Marcus Timms, who began his career with the Yankees. So a big day for him, and he had a very nice year for the Tigers. 26 home runs, although a .256 batting average, but he only had 348 at bats, so that's a lot of power.
And you got to get, that's one of those things. Jim Leland gave him a chance to get a lot of at bats, and he produced for him.
Polanco, who injured his left shoulder separation, and they really struggled mightily without Polanco. Very steady infielder, turns a double play well, and just an outstanding number 2 hitter in the lineup.
Well, he's a winning type player, John. You're right. I mean, he does all the little things that it takes to win. He knows how to play the game.
Right past Sheffield, down the right field line. Polanco, not a real fast runner, and Abreu's got the strong arm, and Polanco will go back to first.
Well, the Yankees were playing him obviously to the right side, or else that would have been a double, but they were playing him that way. And this pitch is away, and Polanco just fights it down the line. You can see Abreu gets there quickly because they were playing him, shading him toward right.
So Polanco aboard with 2 down, and here is Sean Casey.
Even with the fact that the Tigers finished the season poorly, you really see why they were able to win a lot of ball games. They have a lot of fight. They keep coming at you, and they're not intimidated by the Yankee Stadium.
Sean Casey has reached on an error by Jeter and is grounded out. Curveball from Messina, too low.
And one of their big additions was Sean Casey, and he did a heck of a job for him when they picked him up late in the season. I mean, he became one of their real RBI men, clutch hitters, and the guy that they wanted up there in a lot of clutch situations.
Well, they have a lot of power up and down the lineup, but it's mostly right-handed.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
Dave Dombrowski, and they really struggled against the top right-handed pitchers. They needed a lefty to break that up, and Sean Casey was the guy they got. And they said, man, this guy's just a key. Plus, right. Casey's a guy he's not a home run hitter,
but he's a hitter.
But you put men on base,
right? And
Casey's going to make contact. He said he's going to hit the ball somewhere more often than not.
And he hit the ball much better than his average with the Tigers. But I mean, he had a lot bad luck, according to Jim Leland. He hit a lot of balls hard that were caught. Change up, beautiful pitch.
Alex Rodriguez battling the sun, and the inning is over. Tigers get a run back. It's 3-2. Sheffield coming up, and also Jim Leland coming up from the Tiger dugout in 60 seconds. Back with Jim Leland in 60. All right, and back here in New York, 3-2, the Yankees leading the Tigers, and we're very honored to have Jim Leland, the manager of the Tigers, join us now from the Detroit dugout. Jim, many thanks.
Oh, no problem, guys.
Jim, Verlander has had a lot of base runners. He struggled, so to speak, but he's kept this game pretty much in check. What's your feeling there?
Well, the average guy would have been out of the game by now,
Right.
but because he's got such good stuff, he's still capable of making a pitch, Joe. You know, Damon turns on the ball early in the count. We knew that, and that's what he did. He got in there, and he looked and flew open and turned on one. But he's done a good job. He's kept us in the game, and like I said, if he was a guy with just average stuff, he'd have probably been out of there by now.
How about Verlander? How long will he be in this game, Jim?
Well, I'm watching him a little bit, obviously, right now. So we're going to have Ledesma and maybe Rodney or Zumaya get ready to go. So we'll just have to play it by ear. But like I said, he's got quality stuff, and he can get in trouble, make pitches, but you can't go too long with a kid.
Jim,
Thanks, Jim.
we really appreciate it.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks.
Jim Leland, the manager of the Detroit Tigers, live from the Tigers dugout. And here is Justin Verlander, ready to go now to the cleanup hitter, Gary Sheffield, Jason Giambi, and Alex Rodriguez to follow. 3 great all-stars, 3 MVP-type players with home run power, RBI capability, and they're just 3 of many for the Yankees, as Verlander really fooled him on that one.
Well, the one thing you have to be careful of still, this is the 3rd time through the order. All these guys are such good hitters. Every one of the players in this lineup make adjustments to what the pitcher's doing. And you have to be very careful. You have to make good pitches the 3rd time around against this group.
Change up in the dirt.
And it was interesting because Jim Leland, in talking to him the last 2 days, he has a perfect scouting report on all of these hitters. The question is, can your pitchers get to those weaknesses all the time? Like he said, he knew that Damon, turns early in the count.
Yeah.
But you got to stay away from that. He couldn't stay away from it.
And as you pointed out, it was really a location mistake by Verlander. The catcher set up toward the outside and ended up right out over the plate. And that is strike 3. He got him spinning away on the curveball, and it broke back for the strikeout.
And that's one of those situations where if you're the hitter, you can't argue. You don't know where it was. I mean, you really can't. You cannot argue, and Gary doesn't argue. He's not saying it was a strike, but he doesn't know for sure. There's a fastball on the inside corner, another changeup, the beautiful changeup. Now here's the pitch. Watch this. And he doesn't know where it is. He can't argue because he doesn't know where that pitch was.
Wow.
That's one of those. I remember we grew up in the Bay Area. The 2 of us, Sad Sam Jones used to do that all the time. He'd have guys fall down and the curveball would break over the plate. So very few people throw a big curveball anymore because it's hard to control. They throw the slider or the slurve or whatever they want to call it, but very few overhand curveballs.
Yeah, it wasn't that Sam himself was that sad. It was just a lot of hitters were sad when they had to face him.
Yeah.
And he was a very poor hitter. Could not hit. 1 ball, 1 strike to Jason Giambi. Although Sam Jones really, Joe, a little before my time.
Oh, yeah.
I know you remembered him. But
I do.
That one deep down the right field line. Hooking. Foul.
Well, another pitch down and in to a left-hander. And remember, we've always said this. The left-hander's bat seems to speed up on that ball down and in. You can't throw it hard enough to get by a guy down and in. See, that ball's down and in, and he just reacts. Left-hander hitters react to the ball inside. It seems like they just dropped the barrel there, and look at that. He's just a little bit out in front, and he pulls it foul. But I love that. Speed up a left-hander's bat when you go down and in.
The curveball, and Casey waves off Verlander, takes it himself. Casey, mighty Casey. 2 down. Alex Rodriguez comes up now. We'll be visiting with Joe Torre from the Yankee dugout at the end of this inning. There's Joe. It's Don Mattingly just beyond him, the hitting instructor. Alex Rodriguez. I mean, he is such a great player that his numbers for the season are a disappointment.
And that's unbelievable. When a guy hits 30-plus home runs, driving 120-plus runs, I mean, most guys say that's pretty good.
Got booed most of the year.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
This guy's killing us.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it really is. But that, like you said, he's such a great player, has such great talent that, everybody's disappointed when he doesn't hit a home run every time up or something.
Well, in this game, he came up with the bases loaded in the 1st inning, and Justin Verlander abused it.
Yeah.
I mean, 200-mile-an-hour fastballs and then a knee-buckling curveball got him looking. And then A-Rod flied out to shallow left center in the fourth with nobody on base.
I mean, all this up here, you can look at it and whatever, but look at these final numbers down here. I mean, that's not bad. 290, 35, and 121. That's not bad.
A lot of strikeouts for A-Rod, though.
Right. Second most in his, well, ties the most in his career. But, you know, strikeouts are a product of not being as consistent as you had in the past. But remember, he was a 300 hitter, not a 290 hitter normally. But those strikeouts are the reason that he didn't hit 300 this year. Because he didn't put the ball in play more times, and if he puts the ball in play, obviously he's going to get more base hits.
Curveball, strike three call. Second time that A-Rod has been called out on strikes, and there is booing at Yankee Stadium. Joe Torre will visit with us for the Yankee dugout in 60 seconds. We'll be the dugout. Many thanks, Joe, for coming on with us.
Okay, John.
Yeah. Joe, Messina seems to be throwing the ball pretty well, changing speeds, moving around. How much do you think you can get out of him?
Well, you know, Moose is pretty honest with us. He's you know, we put him on the disabled list for a groin problem, and he hasn't had a recurrence of it. You know, he can get into, if he gets that rhythm going, Joe, he can give you 100-plus pitches. But as I say, he's pretty honest. We'll go probably that last inning he's going to pitch. We'll go a man at a time and have our bullpen ready.
All right, Joe, and what about the bullpen? I mean, you had the day off, so you're just having days off all over the place here.
Yeah, I know. This time of year, you just you're anxious to play every day, and you just have to take what comes.
All right, so, but we know Mariano just one inning.
Yes, Mariano 1 inning.
All right. Many thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Joe Torre, the manager of the Yankees, and our appreciation of both Joe Torre and Jim Leyland for coming on with us during the big ball game here today, game 2 of the division series. Maglio Ordonez leads off for the Tigers, the cleanup hitter, the RBI leader for the Tigers, a veteran. Broken back. And there is Cano. Ordonez is gone, one away. Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, John, it's great for Moose that he came into this inning with just 69 pitches, because he was telling me with Mariano Rivera's situation, he kind of feels like he needs to go deeper than usual because middle relief has been hot and cold. He said, I realized that I took Rivera for granted when he was on the shelf for 3 weeks with that forearm injury, because when he's not available, there are so many more question marks between the time I leave the game and the time we get to him. Now, customarily in the postseason, we'll see Mo go 2 innings day after day after day, but like Torre just said, he's only available for that 1 inning to try to save his arm.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, Mariano Rivera has gone more than 1 inning in 65% of his postseason appearances. And Joe Torre has been very open about it over the years, Joe, and we've been here for postseason games. He'll say, no, Mariano's ready for 2 tonight.
Right. Well, he uses him. He doesn't use him as much during the regular season, you know, in those situations as he has to. I mean, because he doesn't have to. But in the postseason, he's ready. He
did use him more than 1 inning 17 times this year. But as a closer, only in 22% of his overall appearances has he gone more than 1 inning. So, but he had the muscle problem in his elbow that shut him down. And Torre is just afraid that if he pitches more than 1 inning, that problem could come back.
Well, fatigue is the reason that you can injure yourself as well. I'm not going to look at those numbers again on my sheet since you say mine is incorrect.
Well, you're getting your stats from the Brand X stat company.
Saying mine are
use the
incorrect.
Elias Bureau. Come on. Look at those numbers. A .80 earned run average, less than 1 run per 9 innings allowed.
No, I think he's the greatest postseason closer in the history of baseball, but I think he's head and shoulders.
That ball is hit deep by Guillen. Way back there. It's tied up. Carlos Guillen into the home run porch at Yankee Stadium, and we start over again. It is 3-3. Guillen, who doubled his last time, and he plants one in the bleachers this time.
And this is what the Tigers did on Tuesday night. They fell behind 5-0, but they just came right back and made it a ball game. Now in this ball game, they fell behind quickly 3-1, but guess what? They've tied it in the next 2 innings. They've come up with 1 run. So this is an excellent ball club. They just do not quit. And Guillen hits it. He knows it's gone as soon as he makes contact. This is not a big ballpark in right field.
That's got to be a mistake there by Messina.
Yeah, definitely. But he'll have to, I mean, if Guillen hits that ball in Detroit, he may have to look at it a couple of seconds longer. But here he knows it's gone. And his teammates all know that they're tied.
Well, make no mistake about it. The Yankees have all of these all-stars and MVPs and great hitters up and down the lineup. The Tigers aren't as well known. I mean, Pudge Rodriguez is well known.
Maglio
Ordonez. Carlos Guillen is sort of a connoisseur's delight. But they hit 203 home runs this year. They can hit the long ball with anybody.
The trouble is they're kind of a hit and miss. You know, they strike out a lot, they hit some home runs, but they do not walk a lot.
Sheffield stretching out, kept his foot in the bag for the putout on a wide throw by Jeter.
Jeter a little erratic today as far as throwing is concerned. He's testing Gary Sheffield over at first base. Let's take a look at Carlos Guillen's home run swing. See how he leads with the hand. Now watch the barrel of the bat catch up. Right there, look at that. I mean, that's right, perfect, mashed against the bat. You see, that bat didn't bend. I think that's one of those maybe maple bats, harder bats. We saw a little bend in the bat when Johnny Damon hit it. His looked more like, you know, a normal Louisville slugger or something.
Here's Craig Monroe and a curveball inside from Messina. Monroe has doubled and scored a run, and he has bunted into an out.
It was interesting when we were talking to Jim Leland, not on camera, but he said, you know, it was a great idea because A-Rod was deep, but he's got to make sure it goes foul if it's not a base hit.
Pop up by Monroe, shallow center, and there is Damon, and that's the inning. And Joe's talking about the 2-out bunt by Monroe with a runner at third in the fourth. 3-3. Matsui coming. Game 2 of the American League Division Series continues now from Yankee Stadium, New York. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein. The Yankees had a 3-1 lead there for a while on a home run by Johnny Damon in the fourth inning, but the Tigers, with a run in the fifth and a run in the sixth, have tied the game. It's 3-3. Hideki Matsui has singled twice against Justin Verlander. This one he rolls right to Polanco, and there is one away.
You know, it was interesting when we talked to Jim Leland. He said, you know, the average pitcher, he would have already been gone because the Yankees would have probably beaten up on him a little bit because he had so many runners on base. But because Verlander had such good stuff, he's been able to weather that storm, and he thinks, you know, and that's the reason that he's kept him in. I'm sure he would have pulled someone else, but he's watching him now, as he said, player by player, pitch by pitch, to see exactly, you know, what he wants to do.
He had thrown 92 pitches coming into this inning. Jorge Posada, who has walked twice in the game, and a foul out of play. The Tiger bullpen is very busy right now. The right-hander Fernando Rodney, and the left-hander number 32 is Jamie Walker. So they'll be ready if needed. And that Tiger bullpen is a pretty good bullpen.
Right.
I mean, they got some guys who can throw very hard. Rodney's a hard thrower. Joel Zumaya is probably the hardest thrower on the planet, which is saying something when we've been watching Verlander all day. And there's Todd Jones, the veteran closer, who did not throw all that hard, but is a strike throwing machine.
John, I think this game takes on a more importance for the Yankees because, you know, Randy Johnson's going to pitch tomorrow. If Randy Johnson was 100%, you say, hey, he's our horse, we don't worry about him. I'm not sure what they're going to get from Randy tomorrow because, you know, he's had the back problem. And, you know, when you have a back problem, anything can happen on any given pitch. So you do not know exactly what you're going to get. And so if the Tigers feel like if they can go home 1-1 and not knowing what Randy can give the Yankees tomorrow, the edge would switch to them. So we'll have to see about that. But we all know if Randy's healthy, we've seen what he's done in his career in the postseason. Well, we know he's not going to be 100% healthy, but if he's healthy enough to, you know, throw as he would like.
A couple of veterans, Randy Johnson and Kenny Rogers. And we'll have that tomorrow night on ESPN and ESPN HD, 8 o'clock Eastern. A foul out of play by Posada off the upper deck facing. What do you think? You want to drive out to Detroit after this one and go do that game tomorrow?
Well, I don't think I'll drive this one, but I think I'll get there in time.
Oh, Detroit is just down the road.
Yeah, I know, but I'm going to have dinner with some friends tonight, and then I'll get there tomorrow.
Oh, you want a little more time in New York?
Yeah.
Posada with another foul back out of play. Well, I hope you make it.
All right.
8 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, I'll definitely
Whether you're
make it.
there or not, I'm doing the game tomorrow.
I will definitely make it.
Randy Johnson, of course, was brought here for these games.
Yeah, exactly.
And last year, when we were here at Yankee Stadium, he pitched Game 3 against the Angels, and he got knocked around. And they were not happy with him at Yankee Stadium. So that will be interesting tomorrow. If the Yankees lose this game, the Tigers really will have achieved just what they hoped to achieve going home.
Yeah. Well, you always like to come in and do what the Oakland A's did to the Twins, win both games, but you would be satisfied with a split here.
Posada, base hit on the 9th pitch of the at-bat. He dunks one into left field. So with 1 out and 1 on in the 6th inning, let's take a look at Game Track presented by Intel. Marcus Timms singled home the first run of the game in the 2nd inning for the Tigers. But then in the 4th inning, Johnny Damon hit a 3-run shot upper deck near the foul pole. 3-1 Yankees. Took the curtain call. Then Carlos Guillen with a score 3-2 in the 6th inning. He planted one in the home run porch, and that tied the game. 3-3 last of the 6th. Jorge Posada has reached base with 1 out, and Robinson Cano coming up. There's the shortstop, Guillen, back in the field now.
And Cano is definitely due.
Cano has hit into a force play and flied out to left. Johnny Damon on deck. Verlander pours one in there for a strike. Now he's not throwing that 97, 98, 100-mile-an-hour fastball as often, Joe.
Well, you know what he's doing now? He's trying to spot the ball better. Every pitch to Cano up until that last pitch had been away. That was a fastball in, and it surprised Cano. He wasn't ready for it.
Now Joel Zumaya, number 54, gets up in place of Fernando Rodney. Jamie Walker, the lefty, still up. And that fastball is badly up and away. That's the 105th pitch for Verlander. So he could be right on the edge of being out of this game here. Well, here comes manager Jim Leyland right now, and he's already made the call. With a 1-ball, 1-strike count, he's bringing in the left-hander, Jamie Walker.
Well, he did not like the release of that last pitch.
So Verlander, his postseason debut is over. He pitched well. Stadium, New York, and center stage much of the afternoon has been that man, 23-year-old Goochland, Virginia native, Justin Verlander.
Well, he had a good curveball going, John, and he started with Gary Sheffield. I mean, look at this. It's a beautiful curveball. We talked about him using that. He gets Alex Rodriguez and Sheffield again. And Rodriguez, he's going to get Jason Giambi hit a ground ball, and then he gets Rodriguez again on a 3rd call strike. So that curveball was helping him out a lot today.
Struck out Sheffield twice, struck out A-Rod twice. And he walked 4, struck out 5 in 5 1/3 innings. And at 105 pitches, I think, as you said, Joe, there was something that Leland saw in the release of that last fastball to just say, well, I think this guy's had it.
Well, it definitely wasn't free and easy, and it didn't have the snap or the velocity.
So he had thrown 105 pitches. This is Jamie Walker, left-handed specialist. He inherited a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Now it is going to 3 balls and 1 strike to Cano.
And the one thing that the Yankees do to you going through that lineup, you know, he had 105 pitches to get 16 outs. And that tells you a lot right there about how the Yankees, you know, grind a pitcher down, so to speak.
Posada's been the king of the grinders today. He's over at first. Well, this could be 2. Guillen to second 1. Polanco over to first. 2, a double play. Jason Verlander leads the cheering for the Tiger dugout. Marcus Timms having a big day. Bonnie Bernstein, I'm John Miller. And we are at Yankee Stadium. That ball is driven by Marcus Timms down the left field line. He's got his 3rd straight hit. Now, let's see the arm. Well, it was strong enough, apparently, for Timms not to challenge Matsui. He held on with a single. But Timms is now 3 for 3. Brandon Inge coming up. And let's get an update from Carl Ravitch.
Hi, John. Just a reminder, we're less than an hour away. 45 minutes. First pitch, Jim Edmonds. That comes up at 4 Eastern. He's in the lineup hitting 6 against David Wells. If our game's not over, it'll start on ESPN 2.
All right, Carl, and tell you what, that Cardinal lineup with Jim Edmonds is a lot different than without, and they were without for most of the last 2 months of the year.
Big difference in that lineup with that left-handed batter Jim Edmonds in the middle.
Brandon Inge. That ball was not a foul. It just got away from Posada, and over to second base goes Marcus Timms.
That's one of those balls where the barrel of the bat hides the ball from the catcher. I mean, the ball looks like it's going to be bunted, and then it disappears, and then Inge gets his bat out of the way. And watch, the ball is right in line there, right there in line. Then he moves it, and it becomes a pass ball. But watch this. It's right in line with Posada catching the ball. Then he moves it out of the way at the last second, and it hits off the heel of his glove. It had a little more movement on it than he saw out in front.
So now runner is at second base, and Brandon Inge went over and chatted with third base coach Gene Lamont after that pass ball. He's still pulled in at the corners, shows bunt, and takes ball 2. Remember, Messina is an excellent defensive player, and he was just pounding down off the mound to cover up that third base line.
This is a tough situation, and Jim Leland's making, he's got to make decisions here. What do you do? Do I go ahead and give Inge up and bunt him over, even though the 2 balls, no strikes? Granderson, a left-handed hitter, but he strikes out a lot. So what do you do here? That you have to think about all those things, and he's already done that.
You let him swing. Nope, he's bunting. And there he gets it done. Messina off the mound to get it, but his play is to first. Cano covering. Brandon Inge gets it done. So Tim's over to third, 1 out. He is the possible go-ahead run.
And that tells you something about Jim Leland's thinking right there. He feels like that if he can get a lead, he can go to that bullpen and, maybe hold this game in check. So he's playing for the 1 run right now. And Joe Torre's not going to give it to him. They're playing the infield in. And there you see what's going on after our ball game.
Cardinals won game 1 on Tuesday, 5-1. In San Diego, back of Chris Carpenter. Padres need a win before they head off to St. Louis. The infield is in for the Yankees all the way around.
And the
Marcus Timms at third. Granderson, there's that changeup from Messina.
And you can see the shadows are out across halfway between the mound and the plate. That's when it's most difficult to pick up the spin on the ball. But like I said, this is one of the things you have to think about if you're Leland. Granderson strikes out a lot. Do you want to put him up there and say, just put the ball in play for me?
He's got to get one to the outfield here to get Timms home. And Messina follows it up with a fastball. I mean, he threw a 72-mile-an-hour changeup and then a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, and he's ahead of him 0-2.
And the great thing, John, the changeup was away, and then the fastball tied him up inside. That's perfect pitching.
Granderson did hit a sacrifice fly in this same situation in the 5th inning to get Timms home from third. But now he's behind 0-2. We got a piece of that one.
Well, that's a good job. I mean, you can see him cut down on his swing, try to make contact there. It wasn't the big swing that he had, on a couple other pitches when he struck out early in the ball game.
Messina is not a strikeout pitcher per se, not like Roger Clemens, but this is a spot where he's pitching for that strikeout.
Well, he outsmarts you is what he does, John. He sets you up, and then he puts you away.
Does not want him to put the ball in play here. Curveball, and he hung that one up there.
That's not the good pitch. That's not where he wanted that.
He struck him out on a curve back in the 1st inning, but that was much better thrown.
But you have to also be careful with, bouncing that curveball. You have to be careful if you throw a really sharp one and it bounces and he scores on a wild pitch. Right. You have to throw a strike with it, I believe. You don't want to hang it that much, but you want to try to make sure you don't bounce it.
Well, and Posada's had some ball blocking problems here in the last few innings.
Good job.
That's left center field. That's into the gap. Marcus Timms will score the go-ahead run. Granderson's going to try for 3. The relay by Jeter, not nearly in time. A triple for Curtis Granderson, and the Tigers have gone back ahead 4-3.
And it was a great job, John, because he cut down on his swing. Messina tried to get him on a high fastball, and he slapped it the other way. But he also cut down on his swing on the first 0-2 fastball. So you got to give him a lot of credit for getting the job done and knowing what he's doing. Watch this, at a high fastball, that's what they want. It's not up as much as he wanted it, but you can see the short swing, real short, and he drives it to left center field, and he puts the Tigers ahead. And again, you have to give these Tigers a lot of credit because they were down 3-1. Now they're up 4-3.
And Marcus Timms, the former Yankee, he really did not ever play for the Yankees very much, but he was a Yankee draft choice, broke into the big leagues with the Yankees back in 1996. And Marcus Timms here at Yankee Stadium is having a big day in the postseason. Actually broke in with the Yankees in 2002, then was with Texas the next year, and went to Detroit in 2004.
That's also, John, you know, Jim Leyland's showing a lot of confidence in his player. You know, he says, I think he can get the job done, and he rewards him by getting the job done. But a great job by Granderson just to cut down on his swing.
Now another important run to get home. The infield is in. Messina sinks that fastball inside for ball one to Placido Polanco.
And you have to be careful if you're the Yankees because Polanco can do everything with the bat. This could be one of those situations where Jim decides to put the squeeze on because he can do everything with the bat. He can bunt. He can hit the ball the other way. He's got the right guy up there to give himself a lot of options.
Well, an excellent heads up. Polanco fouls one back. All right, so he's giving him a swing.
Right. He's got a lot of options though right now. And you can watch the third base coach sometimes.
Well, they're all looking at Lamont right now.
And what happens is you have to give an answer. If he gives you the bunt sign, squeeze sign, you have to answer to let him know that you got it. And then he'll walk over and tell the runner at third base. But he does it after every sequence so that you won't know when the guy's coming, if he is coming.
Granderson at third. Up and in as he spins away from it. And Polanco is ahead on the count. 2 balls and 1 strike in the 7th. And there is Granderson at third, and there is Gene Lamont.
And there he goes.
Signs. He goes over to talk to Granderson now.
And all he'll do is say nothing's on or it's on. That's all he does each time.
If it's on, Granderson cannot give it away.
Right.
Cannot leave too soon where Messina could pick it up before throwing. 2-1 the count. Curves him. 3-1. There's Jim Leyland relaying a sign over to
Lamont,
third base coach Gene Lamont.
He almost repeated what Jim did to him, right? Started with a little finger on the cap. But again, you have to always answer. That's the key.
3-1 the count to Polanco. Infield in. Fastball. And a foul out of play into the upper deck off to the right.
And again, it's tough to do with, I mean, it's tough to hit with in these conditions with that shadow right halfway between. Here's Jim Leyland coming down. This is interesting. Because first of all, Lamont doesn't know where to find him to get the sign because he's moved.
Well, maybe that's a sign. 3-2 the count. Caught by Rodriguez. Not in time to double him up at third.
And a nice play by Granderson. One of the things you're always taught is you get off the bag as far as the third baseman is off the bag. You do not get off far enough so that if a line drive comes your way, you can't get back. So Granderson does this perfectly. See the air there? He's only getting the same distance over here. And he starts back. Excellent play there by Granderson as he beats A-Rod back to the bag.
I mean, he did well not to get doubled up.
Oh, yeah, that was just excellent base running.
I mean, he's not supposed to get doubled up.
But how many times have we seen guys get doubled up in that? They freeze instead of starting back. He immediately started back. He did not freeze and then go back.
Well, now the infield can drop back normal depth. Sean Casey. And if Casey gets a hit here, we'll see how valuable that was. Right. Granderson's ability to get back. Change up. right center field. Damon, and that's the inning. So that might be very big. They did not get Granderson home from third. Top of the order for the Yankees. Damon, Jeter, Abreu coming up. 4-3, Detroit leading. When we come back, we'll visit with the baseball guru, Peter Gammon. Bright sunshine over Yankee Stadium, left field, a real sun field now, which could be something that comes into play. It's 4-3. The Tigers lead as we go to the last of the 7th, and we are very pleased now to be joined by our colleague Peter Gammons from our studios. And Peter, welcome to Game 2 of the American League Division Series. And what about that matchup tomorrow night in Detroit? Randy Johnson against Kenny Rogers, two veteran hands going head-to-head.
First of all, it's great to talk to you two guys again, but it's a really interesting contrast because, I mean, you know, we don't know what we're going to see from Randy Johnson for physical reasons. But to me, it's so odd to have this situation where Kenny Rogers pitches all these years in the major leagues and has never won a game as a visitor in Yankee Stadium. So you have to wait to pitch, you know, a guy that's supposed to be your veteran presence. So you have to pitch him at home in the third game of the series. This is a little different, to say the least.
Now, what about pitching him tomorrow and the younger, harder-throwing Bonderman being held off to Game 4?
Well, you know, I'm just kind of a believer that, you know, when you have Verlander and you have Bonderman, and especially with the Yankee lineup, you've got to be able to pitch them in the inner half of the plate. To me, those power pitchers, particularly in October, are the guys that are most likely to win for you. And I understand some of the frustration with Bonderman as he hasn't really been able to change speeds. But, I mean, he has great stuff, and I'll be very interested to see how he pitches. I know that there are some people in the Tiger organization who are a little worried about his makeup. I think just the opposite. He's a very tough kid, and I think he could go out and pitch very well for them.
And finally, Peter, we're into that Tiger bullpen now, and out in the bullpen is the young, hard-throwing prodigy, Joel Zumaya. What about this Tiger bullpen?
Well, I mean, I think when we saw Walker, I mean, and you know, if Jones pitches normally, Zumaya is one of the great arms in baseball. You see all that power coming in, and you know, at this time of year, those guys who are really hard throwers dominate games. And Zumaya, at times, was the most feared right-handed pitcher in the American League. So this is kind of a fun situation. However, we also know that these ghosts do come out in October in Yankee Stadium in the 8th and 9th innings.
Well, Peter, I know I speak for baseball fans everywhere. We are thrilled to have you back, and it was great chatting with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, see you, Peter.
Okay, Joe.
See you later. All right.
Peter Gammons from the studios and here at Yankee Stadium. Jamie Walker to Johnny Damon. He's quickly ahead of him. Nice curveball in there. It's 0-2 to Damon.
And remember, this is, you know, we're getting late in the ball game, and even though the Yankees have a great lineup, I mean, you're looking, if you're the Tigers, you say, if I can find 9 outs here, you know, we're in good shape.
Right to the second baseman, Polanco came in to get it. One away. That's a big man to keep off the bases late in the game.
And I knew they weren't going to let him pitch to Jeter. They're bringing Zumaya in because he was out warming up, getting ready for Derek Jeter.
Well, we had the heat with Verlander, and then we had the crafty left-hander, and now the heat is going to be turned up even more. Zumaya is coming in. 4-3 Detroit. We'll be right back. Jeter. Run game here on ESPN with Derek Jeter at the plate, Bobby Abreu on deck, and the young hard thrower Joel Zumaya, the rookie, into the game. And this is his postseason debut. And that fastball is too high to Jeter. The stadium radar gun got that one at 100 miles an hour.
John, I think the Yankees lost a little bit of the crowd enthusiasm by playing this game today. It's not as exciting a crowd as we're accustomed to or as loud.
Now Zumaya, who sometimes has a problem harnessing all of that power. He's behind Jeter 2-0. Jeter's mom and dad are here. They live over in New Jersey. His mom, Dorothy, is from New Jersey. And Derek, although he grew up in Michigan, is a great Yankees fan, always was. And that's a called strike. His dad was a Tigers fan when Jeter was a kid. I said, well, how come you were a Yankee fan? And he said, well, he used to go in the summer times to New Jersey to stay with his grandma. And so he got some exposure to the Yankees. But he said he also was nothing against the Tigers. Says his dad was a Tiger fan, so he wanted to be somebody else's fan. That's a foul off the right field line. That one at 101 miles an hour. Now, Joe, during the regular season, the starting pitcher for the Tigers, Verlander, was clocked 19 times at 100 miles an hour or more. Joel Zumaya, who comes out of the bullpen, only threw 83-something innings. He was clocked 231 times.
Well, the difference is one's a starting pitcher, and he can't just let it go every pitch, whereas a relief pitcher is only going to be in there a short period of time. He can let it go.
2-2 the count.
They're trying to stay away from Jeter. Let's see if he can. No.
Did he swing? No.
Well, you can see Pudge Rodriguez was set up away, and the pitch before that was away, and Jeter could not handle it. Well, you see Rodriguez is set up away, and that fastball's way up and in.
Now, when a Zumaya fastball comes way up and in, that will get your attention if you're Jeter.
Get your attention.
Well, he needs a strike right here. 3-2 the count.
Well, Jeter doesn't have to look for anything but dead red here. He knows he's going to get a fastball. And I don't think you can try to spot it and hit the outside edge. You just have to try to throw a strike.
Strike!
Well, a foul tip.
Off the bat, into the glove of Pudge Rodriguez for strike 3.
Well, he got the fastball away. And Jeter tried to check his swing, but he tipped it. And Pudge Rodriguez was able to hold on to it. Watch, Jeter goes out there to get it, and then he tries to check his swing. I don't know if he even checked his swing because, let's see, I don't even think he checked his swing. Watch the barrel of the bat. Well, he did check it, but he did tip it. And he knew that he had touched it.
So 2 down. And Jeter showing the frustration. Yankees needed him to get on base there in front of the big hitters. Here's Abreu, but with 2 down and the base is empty. Check swing and a foul.
Well, it's like you're saying you do not have a lot of time to make up your mind whether it's a strike or not. When Jeter was up there, he started after the ball and then he realized it was a ball, but it was too late. You can't sit there and decide right away whether that ball is going to be in the strike zone or not. And of course, the shadows do not help you to decipher what the pitch is or whether it's in the zone.
A little chilly today at Yankee Stadium. Autumn arrived in a hurry overnight. Look at that, a slider. Strike 2 call. 100 miles an hour and then a slider.
Well, that's the key. I mean, if he can get ahead and throw you that pitch, you're not going to swing at it because you're looking for a fastball. And he never got ahead of Jeter in a position where he could throw it, but he gets the first strike to Abreu and he comes back with the curveball.
Fastball up and away. Zumaya is from the San Diego area. Was a great Padres fan as a kid. He said especially the '98 Padres, that's when he really got excited. Ken Caminiti was one of his favorites. And of course Tony Gwynn. And just that team in general. That was a team that went to the World Series against the Yankees. 1-2. And the fastball is fouled off to the left. Stadium radar gun got that one at 102 from Zumaya. Amazingly, Joe, this guy was not, he's only 21, but he wasn't exactly an overnight sensation. He was an 11th round draft choice 4 years ago. This is his 5th year in the Tigers organization, so he made his way through that farm system. Scott Proctor is up but not throwing right now. That slider. Polanco. And the Tiger bullpen has been very strong. On to the 8th inning. Ordonez, the cleanup hitter. Then Carlos Guillen is having a big day. 4-3. Yankee Stadium. Commemorating many of the Yankee all-time greats as well as other notable days and nights in this ballpark. There have been huge heavyweight championship fights that were staged here. There have been more than one pope who has celebrated Mass here at Yankee Stadium. The big ballpark in the Bronx, as Reggie Jackson used to call it. Here is Scott Proctor, and he throws pretty hard himself. He starts Maglio Ordonez with a slider for strike one. Now, Proctor is right out there on the edge of the shadows. Those long shadows of October, and immediately throwing the ball right into the shadows to Ordonez. Another slider. Got the call on that one. It's 0-2, and Ordonez can't believe it.
Well, make no mistake about it. It's difficult for the umpire as well as the hitter to see that ball coming out of the light and then into the shadows. I'm not making any excuses, but I'm just telling you it's difficult for him as well as it is the hitter.
0-2 the count. Another slider down and away. So we haven't seen the Proctor fastball yet. He's thrown all sliders here to the dangerous Ordonez, who is 0 for 3. Struck out and popped out twice. There's the fastball, very high. 1-2. You saw Posada set the target up very high.
Well, you see the bright ball. See how bright it is? How bright it is out now. Look how dark it gets all of a sudden. That's what we're dealing with in the batter's box and behind the plate as the umpire.
And that is too low. I mean, the hitter's eyes adjust for the brightness in the background. There's Corey Lytle up in the Yankee bullpen now, a right-hander. And that ball comes into the darkness, just as you saw it on that replay. 3-2 the count. And he got him chasing that high fastball at 96. Well, the stadium radar gun said 96. Ours said 94. 3-2 the count. Ordonez, the Tigers' RBI leader, former Chicago White Sox slugger, and he's always been one of the top sluggers in the game. Carlos Guillen having a big day on deck. Again, 3-2. And he walks him.
From 0-2, he walked him, and that's one of the problems this bullpen, you know, not putting guys away. I mean, he had him 0-2 with 2 sliders and was never able to finish him off.
Padres and the Cardinals will be coming up in a little while. Let's go out to San Diego now. And Chris Berman. Chris.
Thank you, John. Albert Pujols and the Cardinals look like they were supposed to look all season. 1 October game, 1 October win. Can the Padres dig in on their home turf and jump back into the series? We'll have Game 2 of the NLDS coming up next. John?
Thanks, Boomer. And I'm looking forward to that game, Joe. I mean, you get a home team having lost the first game. I mean, they have to win today. So the Padres will let it all hang out against the Cardinals in that one. Here is Carlos Guillen. Curved ball from Proctor in there for a strike. Guillen had a double in the 4th and a homer in the 6th. Cardinals won game 1 over Jake Peavy 5-1 with their ace. Chris Carpenter on the mound. Tony La Russa took a gamble in the final day of the regular season, not pitching Carpenter, and it really paid off. Carpenter, their best pitcher, able to go in game 1, and he won it. Guillen. Damon with the glasses down. Deep center field. He makes the catch. And that was not easy. He was battling a fierce sunshine out there. 1 away. Ordonez back to first.
Well, you can see Damon looking directly up into the sun, and he makes the catch. Obviously, those are pretty good sunglasses. Those are the kind I like, the ones you flip down.
Yeah, well, they had
the ball go up, and then you flip him down.
He had him up when the ball was hit, and then he flipped him down as he was going back.
See, those are the flip kind. You see a lot of guys wearing regular sunglasses.
Here is Ivan Rodriguez. He is 0 for 3 in the game. 0-1. You know, in the old days here, when they always played day games, when Yankee Stadium was first built, Babe Ruth would play right field here because left field was the sun field. He'd make Bob Musial play left field.
Well, yeah, to protect the Babe.
Well, then they'd go to the Fenway Park where right field is the sun field, and the Babe would play left, and Musial would play right again.
Well, that's why he was the Babe.
The Babe thought, well, that's going to injure my eyes. I had to stand out there squinting up into the sun all day. And see, there's the Babe, Joe. He's even out of the sun, even with this monument. Those other guys, let them get out in the sunshine. Say Babe Ruth would not go to the movies either. Thought that would not be good for his eyes. That's where I draw the line, Joe.
Nice
Pudge
swing.
fouls that one back.
That may be the best swing I've seen him take, you know, in this ball game. Nice, compact, level swing.
He's not had much of a day with the bat and not much of a series. He's 0 for 7 in the series. Today he's had a comebacker and 2 ground balls to short. He struck out twice in his 0 for 4 in game 1 on Tuesday. Runner at first, 1 out. Craig Monroe on deck. And that's too low. A ball and 2 strikes. That was a hard fastball with some sink to it. And there is Brian Bruni, acquired from Arizona. And Bruni has done a great job for the Yankees with the ball club the last couple of months of the season. He was almost untouchable. Ordonez, the runner at first. Proctor with a 1-2 count. And that is low.
But you can see that he has a better approach this time at bat, meaning Rodriguez. Stroke is shorter, quicker. He seems to be better balanced and everything. This is a very good at bat for him because he's been swinging at those pitches before that were just off the plate or just out of the strike zone.
Well, Proctor throws a lot harder than Messina, but he's not quite as deceptive as Messina. 2-2 the count. Slider up and away.
And as the crowd's getting into it, but all those pitches are off the plate, and Pudge is doing a good job of taking them. Now here's a situation I think that if you're Jim Leyland, you're probably going to send him.
So Ordonez, the runner at first. Sheffield on the bag with him. We'll keep an eye on it.
And if you're the Yankees, you let the shortstop cover.
There he goes. And Pudge got one high and tight, fouled it into the upper deck off to the right.
Interesting, they had Cano covering, and Rodriguez shoots the ball to right field more than he does anything else anyway.
I mean, even that inside pitch, he hit off
the other way. Yeah. So they were giving him a hole on the right side by having Cano cover. I thought Jeter would probably cover because it's tougher to pull the ball also in these shadows.
The pitcher is also himself in the shadows now. And this is quite a battle. This is the 8th pitch of this at bat. Ordonez runs. The slider. Center field. And Damon again flips the glasses down and again makes the catch. Another deep drive. This one hit by Pudge Rodriguez.
Well, I thought he hit that ball well, but that's just a big part of the ballpark.
It is 408 feet to straightaway center here at Yankee Stadium in the current configuration.
There you see him flipping the glasses down. Now he keeps tracking, and he makes the catch.
So 2 men gone. Johnny Damon. And again, he's making it look easier than I think that it really is out there with that sun as bright as it is and as low over the upper rim of the stadium as it is. Now Craig Monroe. You get the look from the camera in the outfield behind Matsui in left field. That's the real difficult field. Craig Monroe. Curveball. And he did not get all of it out of the end of the bat, and there is Matsui. Proctor might have gotten away with one right there. Sheffield, Giambi, A-Rod, power coming up for the Yankees. Down by a... Joe, this is from your good friend Tommy Lasorda. Tommy says, watch the postseason on ESPN. And he went on to say, it's your duty, Judy.
Well, I tell you what, he'd be proud of this. This is a perfect, great matchup here. This is a heavyweight slugger against another heavyweight slugger. Great quick bat of Gary Sheffield and Zumaya's fastball.
Yep. Center field. There is Granderson. 1 away. Wow, what a relief.
Yeah.
If you're Zumaya to get that guy in just 1 pitch.
And if you're Jim Leyland, you're happy. I mean, that was a line shot to center field.
Now here's an update. Let's go to Carl Ravitch.
All right, John and Joe, just a reminder, Boomer's getting loose. So's Chris Berman as well. He'll bring you the game. It'll start on ESPN 2. And the game should start just about 4 minutes from now. So Padres and Cardinals fans, ESPN 2 for you.
All right, so Boomer's on the mound, and Boomer's going to be caught in the action. They got all the Boomers out there in San Diego. That's too high to Jason Giambi. Now, Giambi's a different kind of a hitter than Sheffield all the way around, but that home run porch, the Babe Ruth porch out there in right field, lingers. It looms over the proceedings.
The key is if he can get his fastball in on Jeter, I think he has a better chance. Giambi, I'm sorry. Right there. Get it in. You got to get the ball in on him if you think that you're going to have a chance with the fastball. Middle in and up is even better. That's up. Not in, but it's up.
He made him look rusty on that one. 101 miles an hour.
That proverbial rusty swinging gait. So he doesn't handle the fastball as well as, you know, Sheffield does. In fact, most people do not.
Now, if I'm Zumaya, after those two swings, I'm sticking with that stuff.
Well, you can bounce a breaking ball away, but Jeter's, I mean, gee, I keep wanting Jeter to hit again. Giambi's not going to chase many pitches. That's a breaking ball he's calling for. Now he's going to go back away with the fastball.
Little high.
Really went away.
Yeah, went to the backstop. 2-2. One out, nobody on. Alex Rodriguez on deck. And there's the tattoo Zumaya displays. That'd be a good look for you, Joe.
Yeah, right.
No, really. And he right by him.
Yeah, he cannot catch up with his fastball as Sheffield could.
Now, our radar gun said 103. I didn't know that radar gun went up that high.
Fastball away, fastball for a strike, another fastball for a strike, and you can see he's getting a lot of movement on the fastball. It's not just a straight fastball. And you know, this is good. I mean, the fans are cheering for A-Rod as much as they booed him this year. I mean, they're showing him a lot of support here.
He is 0 for 3 in this game. He struck out with the bases loaded to end the first. And that's ball one. He flied out leading off the fourth and struck out in the fifth. He got two hellacious curveballs from Verlander for strike 3 in those two at-bats where Verlander got him with on strikes. Wow.
Man. I tell you, right there, and you see Rodriguez, Ivan's going to go out and talk to him. But this is a perfect pitch up and under the hands, but his target was over the other way. And there was no way Rod could hit this. He's late and he's underneath it. But Ivan Rodriguez wasn't happy with the location. And you have to be careful, no matter what they say. I mean, A-Rod can hit the ball out of the ballpark in any direction. And so you have to definitely make your pitch to the spot that you want.
Detroit 4, the Yankees 3. The Yankees lead the series 1-0. Last of the 8th, 2 down, nobody on. Alex Rodriguez.
That's where he wanted it.
Strike 2 call.
Beautiful pitch by Zumaya, and you see Ivan went out and told him, get the ball away. Now look at the target. Well, let's see what the target is. And he hits that target. The last time up, the target was there, and he was up and in. That's why Ivan went out and talked to him.
He painted him at 103. Struck him out.
No chance.
At 101. Changeup. Man, that was something. 9th inning. Marcus Timms having a great day. Coming up, Tigers lead 4-0. Here we go to the 9th inning. And Brian Bruni, right-hander from Astoria, Oregon, is into pitch now for the Yankees in relief of Scott Proctor. Marcus Timms, former Yankee, takes ball 1. And look at Bruni's numbers. 19 games and a .87 ERA. And back to the screen and that high fastball. Bruni throws hard. We got that one at 97 miles an hour. Used to be with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And for a while, he was their closer. He had the great arm, and then hitters started catching up to him. He was up and down between the minors and the majors. Finally, the D-backs released him this year. And the Yankees went out and signed him, sent him to the minor leagues, and brought him up 2 different times here to the big leagues, and both times he did well. So Bruni, only 24. Astoria, Oregon, Joe. That's up in the Lewis and Clark country. Beautiful country. That's too high for a ball. And can you think of any other ball players from Oregon? I'm going to go with one who's a good friend of yours and ours.
Okay.
And of all baseball people, really. Johnny Pesky. And Timms pops that one foul. Posada and Sheffield, no. Sheffield went into a slide as he got near that fence in front of the dugout, and Posada went right to the railing. And both of them, I think, might have gotten a bruise from that railing.
Sheffield sees that he's closing in, but he slides into it, and as you said, you can see Posada runs into it. That's the difference between the first baseman and the catcher. Catcher just barrels straight ahead.
And Timms fights it off over toward the Tiger dugout. Like to the count.
Like a halfback in football is going to elude it. The fullback's going to run over it.
All right, so Posada, the fullback.
Yes.
Collided with that railing, and it was bad news for the railing. Marcus Timms has had an RBI single. He's doubled and scored, singled and scored. He's 3 for 3. Man. He's had a hand in 3 of their runs, but Bruni gets him. Check swing, strike 3.
John, you know, one of the reasons I've always said that power pitchers are what you want in the postseason is because at some point the hitters slow their bats slow down just a little bit. And here is a power pitcher just overpowering the Yankees and a guy like Alex Rodriguez, one of the best hitters in the game. You can't do that with slow, you know, guys who throw a lot of changeups, off-speed pitches. You have to have some power pitchers to be successful consistently in the postseason.
There's ball 1 to Brandon Inge. And that was Zumaya, the young reliever. And the starter today was young Justin Verlander, who also has extraordinary power.
And as Leland said, the only reason he was still in the game after putting so many Yankees on base, etc., was because he had such good stuff and he had such power.
That is Todd Jones, the veteran closer for the Tigers.
Probably the softest tosser out of the bullpen, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe on the whole staff other than Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
But he throws strikes. That's what Jim Leland said that they wanted. 3-0, and I think Bruni thought maybe he had one in there to Brandon Inge. Verlander still in the dugout. He went 5 1/3. He allowed 7 hits and 4 walks. The Yankees put 11 men on base against them. They put 10 men on base in just the first 4 innings. But they only got 3 runs in those first 4 innings, despite all of those chances. And they're paying for it right now. Johnny Damon's 3-run homer in the 4th. All of the Yankees' runs. On the inside again, 3-2. Curtis Granderson, the leadoff man, on deck. The Tigers have been very efficient. Conversely, they haven't had nearly as many chances, nearly as many base runners as the Yankees, but they have the lead. Right by him. 98 miles an hour. 2 down. Let's go to Carl Ravitch.
All right, John, great bullpen work we're seeing at the stadium. The starter set to take the field as the Cardinals do some high-fiving before they get prepared to face David Wells and the Padres on ESPN2.
So ESPN2 will have the start of that ball game as we are in the 9th inning here at Yankee Stadium. 2 down, nobody on. I'm talking about how efficient the Tigers lineup has been today. Well, here is Exhibit A, Curtis Granderson. He has come up twice with a runner at third and 1 out. You know, that's where you're supposed to get that guy in most of the time. Well, he got him in both times. Once with a fly ball and once with a triple. Great at bats both times. He fell behind Messina in the 7th inning. 2 quick strikes and then battled and battled and finally He got a mistake, and he walloped it into the gap in left center. You see those famous October shadows here at Yankee Stadium. And Bruni changed up on it. 1-2. Four to 3 Detroit. Top of the ninth, 2 down, nobody on. 2-2 the count. The first Tiger run, we're talking about their efficiency with 2 down and nobody on in the second inning. Craig Monroe doubled and Marcus Timms singled him home. So they have almost every time they've had any kind of a chance to score, they have scored. And they lead 4 to 3. 2-2. Back to Bruni. Now, last chance for the Yankees, down by a run. As likely Todd Jones will be coming in from the bullpen. And there is the veteran right-hander. The Yankees will have the last third of their batting order, but still all-stars. Hideki Matsui, Jorge Posada, and Robinson Cano. And somewhere in there they need to get at least a run to stay alive in game 2. Jones heading to the mound at Yankee Stadium. A bright, cool, sunshiny day at Yankee Stadium. The Detroit Tigers, down 1-0 in game 2 of this best-of-5 division series, have a 4-3 lead for the last of the ninth, and they have brought their closer in to try and wrap this one up as they get ready to head back to Detroit. Todd Jones, 38-year-old right-hander, has come in as he chats with his catcher, Pudge Rodriguez. He had 37 saves, Joe. He's not the prototypical closer. He's not a hard thrower, but Jim Leyland said he just wanted somebody that was going to throw strikes and not walk guys and fall behind hitters all the time, and that's what he got, and he did a good job. So you see Matsui, who's had 2 hits today, 2 for 3.
Normally when you're at the bottom of the lineup, you think you have it's easy to get through, but with Matsui, Posada, and Cano, it's not easy.
Matsui has singled to right in the second and fourth innings. He started that 3-run fourth inning rally, and he has grounded out. He's 2 for 3. Hard little cutter in under the hands. 1-1. Jones only walked 11 in 64 innings and only had 28 strikeouts. So his
defense has to be good.
The defense has to be good. The ball's going to be put in play. Too low. They said a writer told him about the Yankee lineup. They wanted to know what he thought about facing him. They read the lineup off. He said, wow, that's cool. That's going to be a lot of fun. You can't miss any spot for 5 games. Base hit. The third hit of the game for Matsui, and they're going to lift him for a pinch runner. Melky Cabrera will go over. So Matsui gets an ovation as he departs. And now Jim Leyland is going to go out and visit with Todd Jones.
Well, this is what the Yankees needed. They need somebody to start, give them a start here in the ninth. Larry Boyd is going to talk to Posada. I don't really think that they're going to bunt Posada, but, Joe Torre sometime will play for the Tide. There's a sinker pretty much in the middle of the plate, but Matsui just lines it right back through the middle for a base hit. The one thing that a lot of these good hitters have in common is that they delay the barrel of the bat and then it flies through the hitting zone. He uses a little more wrist action than most, but the results are similar.
There's Melky Cabrera, the pinch runner at first base. Got the call on the outside, and Posada didn't like it. Strike one. Posada has been on base 3 straight times. 2 walks and a single. This is the first time that Todd Jones has ever pitched in a division series game. He pitched to a couple of batters in the LCS for the Red Sox 3 years ago, and quickly it is 0-2 to Posada.
Good slider on the inside. He went away with the first pitch. Then he came right back inside with a slider. I don't think you're going to see him go inside again unless it's off the plate. You do not want to give Posada a chance to hit the hole on the right side. Well, he went in there again.
He did not have much success against the Yankees this year. In 2 games, they got 5 runs in only 2 2/3 innings against him. In a year where he had a lot of success against just about everybody else. Posada 3 hits in 10 at-bats, lifetime against Jones. Everybody's standing at Yankee Stadium. Strike 3 called right down the middle with a fastball.
Well, he got him looking for the slider in. First pitch fastball away, and Posada was upset. That was a slider in. That's a good pitch. Another strike. And here's the payoff pitch. That is definitely a strike.
Jason Giambi looked like he had questions for Posada about Jones' stuff. And here is Robinson Cano. And Cano has been held hitless tonight.
Well, they better be careful.
And he has been held hitless in this series. Strike 1.
Well, you're one thing about Todd Jones. You're right. He's throwing strikes. He's coming after him. And he's throwing a little bit harder with more movement than I thought. He had a 94-mile-an-hour fastball to finish Posada off. I mean, he's got some movement on his fastball, and he's getting it up there pretty good.
Yeah, he's not like just a
soft
up
tosser.
there.
He's not a soft tosser.
Yeah. And he's ahead of Cano, 0-2.
Anytime you can come inside on the left-handers, you got a good, your fastball's good enough.
Cano is 0 for 2 against Todd Jones. Only faced him twice. Has yet to have a hit against him. Johnny Damon on deck. Runner at first. Melky Cabrera. Everybody standing at Yankee Stadium. The breaking ball. Now that I mean, it was a good breaking ball, but it was right up there to hit.
Well, not only the hit, but a ball that you can pull in the hole. See, that's the key. Because if he hits the ball in the hole, they're going to have first and third.
So he got away with one there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what you're trying to do is hit a ball in this hole over here, and that'll send Melky Cabrera around the third base. And then you got first and third with less than 2 outs. That's what you have to guard against.
0-2. Back to the fastball. That's foul off the left field line. And now Pudge Rodriguez is going to go out and talk to Todd Jones. Joe Torre. Torre in the past, Joe, after games, usually that have happy endings, we'll talk about moments like this. And he says when you're in the dugout, you want to win so badly, you'd sell your oldest child to get a couple of runs. Jason Giambi looking on. 0 for 3 for him. Justin Verlander, the Tigers' young starter, still out there. Curveball. Tapped slowly. Foul ball. The crowd seeing Pudge boot it, but it was a foul ball.
Well, the Tigers get a break there, but Pudge knew what he was doing. He grabbed the ball quickly, tried to. He wasn't going to wait and let it bounce out in front because Cano would have beaten it out anyway. Now watch what Pudge does. The ball's hit. He tries to grab it because if that ball hits and bounces forward, he's not going to be able to throw Cano out.
Now you might also be asking, what about Melky trying to steal his way to second? Well, that's where Pudge Rodriguez is one of the greatest weapons in the game. It is very tough to steal against Pudge. 0-2. And a foul. This year, There were 25 steals a second, which already, that's not very many. 26 were thrown out trying to steal. 25 made it. 26 were thrown out. Only 51 even tried it.
Yeah. Well, they tried to hit and run the Tuesday with Jeter, and they got him hung up because Rodriguez throws so well.
And he maybe doesn't have the arm that he once had when it was one of the greatest arms ever seen in the game. A la Johnny Bench, but still very good.
Well, he still has a quick release. That's the key. And he has great footwork. All the great catchers, Johnny Bench, Iman Rodriguez, they all have they had great footwork. Bench did.
0-2 to Cano, who thinks he cracked the bat and gets another one. You see Pudge looking over at Cano. Now that's 7 pitches have been thrown here to Cano, and they've all been strikes, or at least he's swung at all of them.
Well, that's what you're saying about Jim Leland's thoughts on having Todd as the closer.
The crowd trying to inspire the Yankees. And a pop-up along the left field line. Could be trouble in the sunshine, but Monroe is there. 2 down.
And excellent pitching by Todd Jones. I mean, this is the first time I've seen him lately pitch, you know, in person. I've seen him on television. But I see why he is successful.
And Monroe has sunglasses with him, Joe, but they're just an ornament. He's not using them. Look at it. Look at where they are.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's got
2 pairs. So in case one doesn't come down, he's got another one. Now he's going to keep 1 pair on.
He's tried to flip downs. He doesn't like them, so he's just going to put the regular sunglasses on.
13 out of 15 pitches have been strikes from Todd Jones. So I guess Jim Leland's right. He throws strikes.
2 down. Cabrera at first. All right. If you're Joe Torre, do you take a gamble here at some point with Cabrera?
I don't think so in this situation, but I mean, as Yogi Berra so aptly put it, it's never over till it's over because of this short porch in right field.
Damon is 3 for 7 lifetime against Jones, and he takes a strike.
Well, you see what Jones does. He stays off the bat, the good part of the bat. That ball tailed away at the last second. Damon was going after it, and it tailed away, and he couldn't handle it. He was just going to hit a ground ball someplace. So Damon wisely took that pitch.
Damon has a 3-run homer to his credit today. He was out in front of that one, an off-speed pitch, and he was halfway to the mound before he made contact in that one. And this was the home run, upper deck down the right field line in the 4th inning that gave the Yankees a 3-1 lead. The lead was short-lived. Tigers got a run on the 5th, a run on the 6th, a run on the 7th, and a 4-3 lead, and they still lead by that with 2 down in the 9th. Damon is the Yankees' final hope. Cabrera, the possible tying run at first. Down and in. Yeah, see, not everyone's a strike.
Well, that was to set up something else because he could not afford to go inside with a strike there, I didn't think. I mean, Damon has proven he can't hit that short porch there. So you're just throwing him a slider, give him something to look at, and then he'll go back away again.
1-2.
No,
the cutter
weighs 2 pitches in there.
And you hear the crowd react on that one. The reaction was, whoa. Joel Zumaya was looking on from the dugout.
Well, he can't really afford, in my opinion, to throw a strike inside to Damon, because that's the only pitch he can hurt him on.
2-2. And the cutter, and oh man, maybe off the knee or the shin with that foul ball, and that hurts. Gene Monahan, the Yankees veteran trainer, and manager Joe Torre will come out.
Well, you can see this pitch is going to break in off the plate, which is what he's trying to do. It's inside, and he just hits it right off his back knee.
The back knee. I mean, you don't often see that, anything off the back leg.
Well, that tells you how far it was, like inside, because it just glanced off the bat at the angle that he was swinging and hit him on the back knee. And Pudge's going to go out and talk to Todd Jones, because I think you're messing with fire if you're trying to pitch inside and you fool around and make a mistake in there.
But on the other hand, you pitch away and he flicks that ball into left field.
I'd rather him flick it than hit it in the upper deck. That flick doesn't tie the ball game.
Well, if he flicks one to left field, the man on deck is Derek Jeter.
Doesn't matter. The game's not tied. But if he flicks one on that upper deck over there, you're down 2 games to none. I think you always have to guard against the worst thing that can happen. I think that's what you do in these situations.
Jeter,
that's why you play deep in the outfield and keep the ball from going over your head.
Jeter on deck. And a high pop-up. Shallow center. Polanco. And now Granderson in. He calls him off. The Tigers have won it. The Detroit Tigers, the team that was already being sent home, the conventional wisdom was the Yankees were just too tough, too experienced, too deep. And Jim Leland says, you know, they're depicting us as if we brought the junior varsity here. Well, this is a good ball club, and the Tigers proved it here today.
Well, I think they proved it Tuesday, because they came back from a 5-0 deficit. They were within 1 base hit of being able to win that ball game, and they came back today. They will not quit, and that's what this Tiger team is all about.
I mean, Granderson, 2 huge RBIs, and the former Yankee Marcus Timms, he was the guy getting everything started. He also drove in a run, and our Chevrolet player of the game is good. It's a tough call. There were so many for the Tigers, but we're going with Marcus Timms, the former Yankee, in recognition of his outstanding play. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. The Tigers have tied this series. Game 3 tomorrow night from Detroit. We'll see you there, 8 o'clock. For Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein, I'm John Miller. Thanks for watching from Yankee Stadium, New York. Now, Game 2. Cardinals-Padres from San Diego. Let's